Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by Indeed. They get you one step closer to the hire by immediately matching you with quality candidates. So that's why I've always been a big supporter of what they're doing, why I like to use it. So start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/Duke. Offer good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/Duke. Just go to Indeed.com/Duke and support the show by saying you heard about it on the podcast. Indeed.com/Duke. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today, and welcome to episode 150, a buck fifty of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. Today, I am joined by the birthday boy, Lord Cognito. Funny you're wearing an original Xbox shirt today. I think it's like the 22nd anniversary for that, so we're celebrating a lot of birthdays right now. How are you, good sir?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I thought it was fitting, first of all, thank you for the birthday wishes. We made another one. It's been a rough year, but we're very blessed. We're very happy.
Todd got you here. Remember, a couple of prayers. Todd got you.
Somebody put the meme up of that. And it was it was like the Undertaker joint getting out the casket, and they was like, I gotta still live for Starfield. I gotta shout them out. The birthday love was tremendous on Twitter. It's been fantastic. Just you realize that what you do does affect people, and even you know how it is. It's natural as content creators. You get down sometimes, right?
Oh, dude,
bro. And you're like, everybody hates me, and you look at the comments.
That you think that, like, that's crazy to me. I know we all get in that mindset, but it's insane. Like, I think people love you an extraordinary amount. I don't say that like in a negative way, but like it's awesome. And so it's crazy to hear that you think that sometimes.
No, you go through stretches sometimes, because what it is I think it's human nature, because the people sometimes who love you are not as vocal sometimes as the people who hate you. So you see more of that, right? And you're like, so you think, okay, well, maybe that's permeating around everything, and everybody's fault is trending this way now. Now I'm not loved anymore. So you go through it. I mean, obviously common sense comes in. You're like, okay, can't everyone hate me? But, I had my villain arcs a couple times this season. This season of Agent 47 Cognito, you know what I'm saying? So, it happens. But to see, I think, the love from your peers, obviously guys like yourself, and then, the community, and people really saying, hey, man, what you do means a lot. And sometimes we all need it, man. We all need it. It kind of recharges the batteries. And then with this shirt, it's kind of funny, because it's like, I never really bring it up a lot, but it's like, it kind of makes sense why I have a preference for Xbox based on the fact that it's literally born on my birthday. Yeah. They debuted in New York City with The Rock and Bill Gates. I was there for that downtown 42nd Street, and came into it just as a gamer. Like, okay, Microsoft's getting in the game, and what does this mean? Let me see.
So cool to have that hindsight. Like, I was 5 at the time.
Bro, you were such a big. I know. I just realized that, bro. The mindset was like, their office, like, what are they doing? That was the mindset. I came in as a pure hater of this platform. I was just like, let me see what's going on. And then people kept saying Halo, which was the other birth date. And then that's when I learned about what a killer app is, and just playing that game, bring the console home, and then the love affair kind of started from that. And then as a refugee Sega kid, it felt like home at the time. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, shout out to everybody. But born day, and then also happy born day to my cousin. Little Mark Smooth, we share the same day. So after the show, I'll take him out for his dinner. We celebrate each other on the same day.
I love that. And I'm happy people are sending you love. Yeah, it's funny because the love goes further than I think people realize. And I think that's why sometimes we don't see a lot of it often, is because I think it's like, oh, of course, I'm here. I'm watching. I'm engaging. Like, they know I love them, right? But when it's said as loudly as that hate, because the hate, like, especially now, and I'm sure we'll get into the thick of that conversation. There's a lot of emotionality among gamers right now, it's really strong. It's really overbearing. And it's like, I've just kind of taken this new demeanor, this new approach, like in my content. I'm just handling things like, I'm just trying to, I guess the best word to put forward is like, just a lot more chill. Like, let's just settle. Some people like are way too uppity. Yeah. And we do this for a living, man. Yeah. And so I hear you on that, just sometimes that extra praise, especially the Duke community always has our back. You know, they always are there. They understand the vocal positivity. I think to the wider sectors of the internet, it's a little more difficult to come by, but we're lucky to have that more reaffirming community. But yeah, just a reminder to everyone out there, not just for us, but all of your favorite content creators go through this. You know, just send them a little thank you note, a little love. It does go a ways if you have the time.
Absolutely.
Anyway, welcome to the Finding Duke, an Xbox podcast. Each and every week, we gather to talk everything gaming, focused on Xbox. You can get us early access, ad-free, over on patreon.com/laststandmedia. We're available on Thursdays for that early access window. Otherwise, you can catch us for free, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, YouTube, all that stuff Sunday. We'll see you there. A lot of love for last week's thumbnail. I think Dustin went hard with that one. I was curious how it would come out when we had the right fits, right? We had everything going on. But sometimes when I convey the ideas to Dustin, I'm just like, did I explain that well enough, man? But like, he nailed it. So I wanted that nice cold theme. You know, it was the winter time. We were focused on Blizzard. I was like, this is like an OG. When we started to transition into more of like using our faces and having fun with the thumbnails, this is like where it kind of began, right? With the first one we did was the Cloud Barrett face swap.
Bro, those are goated. Those are goated. The Cloud, the out
of pocket ones.
Yeah.
So much fun.
Definitely. Yeah. You with the ideas, and then Dustin when he puts puts it together, the combination you talk when it gets cooking, those are GOAT level thumbnails. I think of those, and this is up there. This is definitely top 3 for sure for me.
I loved it. So thank you everyone for tuning in. As always, you can write in over on patreon.com/laststandmedia. We have a few write-ins here to just start off the show, follow-ups from the audience and whatnot. Switch Mitch Skates, you're up first. Greetings, Dukes. There's been nothing but silence from Brook Gaming and Xbox regarding their crackdown of unauthorized accessories. However, it appears like my adapter has not lost its functionality, even though their policy updated had come into effect on November 12th. I haven't been able to find any statement from either company for the moment, but I'm taking a sigh of relief right now. Thanks, dudes, and have a maybe I'll buy Tekken 8 on Xbox after all kind of day. So just a heads up out there that we're keeping the eyes peeled for any future updates on what may or may not be working when it comes to third-party accessories, but it seems like Brook Gaming and the fighting stick adapter is getting the pass here. So just to keep in mind for our Xbox fans out there looking to support the minimal fighting game community on the platform that Switch Mid Skates fighting the good fight here.
I love it.
Cog, do you have a fight stick kind of fight paddle thing?
I'm actually one of the weird ones. Yeah, the fight sticks and the Hori sticks and all that. Yeah. I'm actually one of the weird ones. I can't do it. I never connected with it, but I wonder if it's because I didn't grow up fighting games in the arcade. Like, I wonder if that's why, because a lot of people are really good with them. Oh, bro, it's nonstop. You see, like the level of people who will bring their sticks to the arcade, or just you're so used to it. For me, I remember I was so bad at it with getting out like diagonals or forward quarter circle motions, like the all you can, the fireball, and Street Fighter stuff like that. I was terrible at joystick. Yeah. The best thing Tekken ever did was I'm going to say it's Tekken Tag 1, if I had to guess. Namco Arcade Board allowed you to bring your PlayStation controller. They had a slot in the arcade. And bro, like I do think, sorry, Rum of the Dukes, I got to be real. I do think the PlayStation controller is the superior controller for fighting games as far as diagonals, the way the pad is segmented. You can get the motions out. For fighting. For FPS, we already know. I already got Xbox by that. But being able to put my controller down against those arcade champions, oh, bro, it was a whole different ball. I said, yeah, you on my level now. Now it's on. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, yeah, I was definitely never a stick guy, but for sure a controller guy.
Excellent. Austin Clements is our next write-in. Hey, hey, Dukes. Maddie, I just wanted to comment what you said on Constellation about playing through Yakuza 3 to 6 at some point. 3 and 4 can be really hard to get through at times because of age, but don't give up. The payoff is so worth it. I played through the whole series back-to-back 2 summers ago. It was one of the best gaming experiences I've ever had. Excited to hear what you think and how the series has aged. Have a Kazuma Kiryu kicking ass and chewing gum and he's all out of gum kind of day. Thank you, Austin. Yeah, I wanted to just follow up on this, so in case anyone else is planning on joining me on this pilgrimage, they can do so. I have not begun yet, so time is ticking. But it's because I'll talk about what I'm playing when we get to that segment. But yeah, this is just a little update here on what's going on with Yakuza in case anyone is feeling like going on the pilgrimage. I have a patron on my Mr. Matty server who had been writing about their time with Yakuza 3, and they were not enjoying themselves. So, yeah, it's just little concerned of how I'm going to start things off here, but I'm ready. I've played Trails. I'm in for the long haul. I'm going to do this. I will do this.
Okay, fair
in the
enough.
name of Kazuma Kiryu.
I gotta hear about this. I'm very curious about this one.
Dick Justice is our last write-in. We'll get into the news. G'day, Duke, Cog, and Duck Maddie. Let's talk about the important stuff. What everybody wants to know but is afraid to ask. What are the Dukes doing for their Game of the Year conversation and year-end wrap-ups? You can spill the larger LSM plans if you'd like, but when are the Dukes planning to sit down and do a Game of the Year talk that really matters? Have a still waiting on part 2 of that Starfield spoiler cast and Maddie's retrospective of TMNT 2012 kind of day. I don't know about the latter. Did I ever promise that?
Yeah, I don't remember you promising that.
I don't know if I promised a TV show retrospective, but if I did, I'm rescinding that.
We taking that off the table.
Part 2 of the spoiler cast, we will deliver, though. We got you on that.
No doubt.
Yeah, so it is getting to that time of the year where Cog and I and whoever joins us will start to record our year-end shows for while we're away on holiday. I know we usually do the best and worst of Game Pass in 2023. I think I said the same thing last year, but I think this year especially we need to do so because there's been some really good stuff in Game Pass. I know last year, one of our episodes that went to the public, we had Anchorman on and we talked about Fallout.
Yes.
That was a fun episode. So we're going to, it depends on really how the Game Awards goes in the terms of mainline DD episodes, because I don't know for sure, and we'll talk extensively about the Game Awards in a little bit, but I expect Xbox with how they keep repeating over and over, like, oh, a game every 3 months, and they just had Forza at the middle end of October, that they're probably going to have something ready to start showing off to just build up some hype. Not that it's going to come out in January, but something of some kind. And so maybe we'll do like a looking ahead into 2024, what to expect while we're in the dark sort of episode. In the terms of Game of the Year conversation, though, I know there's one time we thought about doing a like collab of all of us. I think we did do that for a crossover episode, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe we do that. I have to talk with Colin about it because it's about to be that this next week or so, Colin will start to do the holiday stuff. But that's the current plans. We've had a tradition with the audience for years, so I don't intend to break that with like Game Pass every year. I think it's fun to just have like a year-end review of the service and where it's at, and especially as it evolves and more games are dumped into it. I think it's just a good conversation for us to have, especially for new audiences joining us. Big question we get every week that we just can't answer because we have a whole segment dedicated to it, and we've answered it so many times. It's like, hey, I just bought an Xbox. What do I download? And so that episode exists to kind of go into the backlog of Game Pass and just seek those games out. All right, Cog. Well, with that, let's start off with some big news here. Got a big one for me and then a big one for you. Although this one's also pretty big for you. Baldur's Gate 3 is coming to Xbox in December with a release date to be announced at the Game Awards, as Larian has confirmed on their social media accounts. It appears physical copies are also en route, as Larian said before this announcement, quote, Xbox fans and fans of physical media, watch this space for a formal announcement. It's going to be a busy week, end quote. So, interesting. It's coming out in December, and by December 7th, we're going to have a release date announced. Shadow Drop? Available today, available now. And of course, for you, sir, I want to know, do you think this it's got to be a possibility, right? Game Pass. Do you think that Microsoft swung a deal in the back end?
Ooh, I didn't even think of, what's funny? I didn't even think about that.
Really? Yeah. I think it's because at first I was like, they make a lot of money off this game and you're bringing it to another platform. Why not try to sell it first? But maybe they just secure the bag up front, or maybe Xbox pays them a lot to make it a bigger deal since they're late to the party.
It's a possibility. I'm going to still say no, but damn, you got me thinking, because it's a possibility. Like, they're hyping it in a way that is very interesting and clearly, utilizing the Game Awards and that leverage and stuff about that. And then I want to shout them out because I don't know if did we talk about it last Dukes when we talked about the breakthrough that just happened in reference to the Series S and them able to
that happened in the week as we were building up to this show.
And we had this in the news topic. So yeah, I just want to briefly shout out the team at Larian, because the discovery that Series S, surprisingly, is actually the culprit for them making an advancement in VRAM and memory performance, which now benefits PC and PS5, including the Series X. So this breakthrough was not just lowering the resolution, because remember I told you I spoke to developers, and I'm just like, yo, guys, what's the deal? Series S was holding back. Like, people who were not affiliated with Microsoft, and they were like, no, development time, resources. And it's beautiful to see that now that Larian was afforded that, they were able to get this extra performance. And who knows if Microsoft also, send out Jason Ronald and the ninjas out there to see what else other switches could be flipped. But they were able to do it besides just lowering resolution. So this is huge. Series S now helping benefit the top platforms. Now, to your question, I think it's too good to be true. If they pull this off, that is a megaton to get this into Game Pass. I mean, and it's on the tail. It does fit your narrative. I will say it's on the tail end a little bit, but not tail end, but a couple of months. It could be.
It's still one of the most played games on Steam. So I wouldn't be surprised if they just went ahead and said, like, let's see who buys this. And I know Xbox fans, especially with Starfield kind of being by December, a lot of people have moved on at that point. Right. It would be a good time to transition into a new big RPG for people.
And with the potential inevitability of a game of the year selection, it's a nice thing to say, hey, you can have the game of the year.
Yeah, I got his wheels turning, everyone.
You know what I mean? I'm starting to think corporate cog is kicking. Maybe there's more wheels turning here that I ain't see it. But I'll keep it open. For now, I'm going to say 70-30 no, but that 30 is rising. Is a potential there. I see where you're going.
Yeah. I think for sure Shadow Drop. I don't think they would announce that with like, hey, we're going to announce a week into December what the release date will be, and it's coming a couple of weeks later. Maybe they give it a week. I don't know, but I think it would be kind of silly. It would be better just to have it there and channel the excitement, like go get it right now.
Yes.
And again, a perfect way to kind of end the year if you're an Xbox fan. Cog, this one's all you. I've included 3 write-ins for this because so many people wanted to hear your thoughts about this. Reina is joining Tekken 8's roster, rounding out the 32-character roster. She's the final announcement. I'm going to read all these write-ins, and then Cog, you have at it. Angel Urbina writes in, hey, Dukes, just writing in about the new Tekken. Y'all see the new fighter Reina that got shown off. She looks so good to use. Got some Heihachi stuff going on. Man, I can't wait to play this game. How are y'all feeling about it? Radiant Morpico writes in, hey, Dukes, this one's for Cog, but Maddie, feel free to jump in on this as well. I've been waiting on something to nudge me past the purchase line for Tekken 8, being a Street Fighter guy myself, and this week we got said nudge. Reina Mishima was announced, and she looks amazing. My question is, what does Cog think about this new character, and is he going to take a break from Hua Rang to give her a shot? Thanks for the great content as always, and have my personal game of the year got nominated, but is ultimately going to get crushed by the competition kind of day. Last one here, Ronnie Barrier writes in, howdy Dukes, I am here for one reason and one reason only, to enable Cog to have his Tekken minute. Cog, what did you think of the Reina reveal trailer? Will you be faithful to your high-kicking boy Hua Rang, or are your eyes now beginning to wander to the additions of Azucena, Victor, and now Reina? Hope you fellas have a Heihachi canonically has at least 30 illegitimate children type of day. Yeah, I guess this, I don't know if a lot of people just saw this and thought of you at once, or if this was a massive announcement of like a character people, like this character's not familiar to me at all. So walk us through the history, of course, but like, what does this announcement mean to you? Are you excited? And are you starting to, that meme of the dude like holding the girl's hand, he's kind of looking over his shoulder. You starting to look at the new chick down the block and sizing her up instead?
Yeah, I ain't gonna front. I was flirting like I shouldn't have been. Like I shouldn't have been looking in those directions. You know what I'm saying? I'm a married man. But look, the history is this. Reina is a completely new character. The reason why it's so impactful is because the way Namco has been doing these reveals has been awesome, right? We saw Victor Chevalier, last week, and he was pretty much, kind of a spy character, leader of the Raven unit. Very cool, but there was leaks about a character named Reina and a potential of another machine. And the reason why it's so significant, it's 2. One, Harada has confirmed Heihachi is dead. There will be no, Gene and him coming back. At least they have confirmed for now. And he has said it recently at the Reina reveal. No Heihachi. So Heihachi means, shout out to my boy Valakan, that's his man. I felt for him all this Tekken. Because I'm like, damn, this is going to be the first Tekken without the iconic Hayachi, the Earth, Wind, God Fist, all the classic movesets. And when we seen Reina, the way it was displayed, Maddie, was how the audience is like, who is this? Why is she? The first one, the stage is Hayachi Mishima's dojo.
I recognize that right away.
There's also a rumor, if you look at the final statue, that it looks like Akuma, right? Her code name, Purple Lightning. Lightning usually associated with Mishima, Hayachi Mishima. We do know Hayachi do get around. There's how it's been confirmed, like at least 9 or 10 children. Lars is one of his little side kids. He don't pay no child support. I don't know what's going on with Hayachi. He out here.
He needs to get the snip. He needs to cut it out.
Bro, they ain't cut the tubes off with the chicks that I don't know what's going on. But at the end of the day, so basically, from what I hear, it is Hayachi's daughter. The beauty of it, and this is why Tekken, we love it so much. Tekken, they incorporated capoeira for the first time. You saw different martial arts, Muay Thai. For apparently the style she's using is called Taido. And it's very acrobatic. It's kicks. It's also quick movements, eye pokes, gouges, whatever you got to do to get out. She's this aggressive style. Like there's a clip of her ducking and very evasive movements. And if you remember Lin Ziyu, she had a thing called the Art of Phoenix Stand where she circles kind of around you. This shit got something like that. That's almost like an 8-way run that's Soul Calibur-ish. So I saw that. And then where the trailer really hits up is mid-trailer when they do, because what Tekken is finally stealing from Mortal Kombat is the character introduction. If there's a special... I saw
that. Yep. I love that.
So Jin approaches Reina and goes, who are you? And she says, Jin Senpai, I've been meaning to fight you. Now, the thing is interesting because she's probably younger than Jin, being that, but that's low key, like probably his own. You know what I'm saying? But the crazy thing is when she says Senpai, that means she's giving reference that Jin was trained by Hayachi before her. So it's just and then the classic one is Kazooie. Like Kazooie, like who the hell are you? Like what is going on? And she's so devilish. She's like, oh, you're gonna find out soon enough. Yeah. And the way she's tearing things apart, she's devilish. She's got some type of demonic power. And the last clue that makes it so special. This is their best trailer ever. The final rage art. If you pause frame the final clip when she takes them up and she stands, she's like, you're gonna know your place. Right? Look at the super. The super goes into a ghost-like figure. If you pause it, it looks like Hayachi's long hair and the red eyes. So some are speculating this is some type of spirit connection. He's dead, but it's some type, bro.
It's part of the story that you got to think, right?
And Harada has confirmed she is a major part of the story.
Okay.
And it's like Tekken 8, The Dark Awakens or something like that. She doing something. She got like 3 powers. She's glowing like purple lightning. I don't know what. She don't got devil gene, but she doing something. See, this chick is evil personified. Yes, I'm flirting. I'm looking at it, but I can't touch because I already my man who's a Hayachi main. There's no way I will touch by myself in my house when no one's looking. But as far as fighting with her, I can't. But she's a mix of power and that new style that she's trying.
Has anyone in your group like reserved her?
Yeah. My man Valakai, because he's a Hayachi man. Hayachi died. He gets first dibs. And then I say, yo, so you don't like her, right? He's like, no, I love her, and she's yeah. So I can't get my touch on. But yeah, she one of the great character reveals, and now the roster is finalized. And Tekken 8, man, I cannot wait. And then they're going to do every week now. Because they announced like 10 people that they never showed a trailer for. And then they're going to, each week from now until release, they're going to show each one of the remaining guys. So I need to see my Li Chaoling so I can stop flirting with Reina.
I get it. This game looks fantastic. I can't wait to see more. And apparently, I mean, we had that leak about the Tekken Forces mode that they still haven't really shown off. So I still feel like they just got another couple rounds in the chamber for this game before it actually comes out, and that's really exciting too, because they are pacing it perfectly where the game feels really big.
Cannot wait, but I haven't been this excited in a long time. Tekken 7 had me excited, but then it just wore off a little bit because of the way they handle the story. But this, like, they have the right roster, a great mix, and then it looks like they're going to dedicate the story. And I could tell Harada's been hanging around Ed Boon. I've seen the pictures together. He's taking clues and cues from Mortal Kombat. You got to step your game up, Tekken, and I love what they're doing. So I'm pulling for the best.
Good, y'all.
Yeah, I'm hyped.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. So instead of spending hours on multiple job sites searching for candidates with the right skills, Indeed's a powerful hiring platform that can help you do it all by streamlining the hiring process with powerful tools that let you find match candidates. With Instant Match, over 80% of employers get quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their job description the moment they sponsor a job, according to Indeed data in the United States. And that's why I love using Indeed. That's why I've always been a big fan of them, and that's why we always have them here as a sponsor on Defining Duke. Because candidates you invite to apply are 3 times more likely to apply to your job than candidates who only see it in a search, again, according to US Indeed data. And they get you one step closer to the hire by immediately matching you with quality candidates. So that's why I've always been a big supporter of what they're doing, why I like to use it. So start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/Duke. Offer good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/Duke. Just go to Indeed.com/Duke and support the show by saying you heard about it on the podcast. Indeed.com/Duke. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Speaking of competition, you might have another reach for your heartstrings here. The Steam Deck OLED with a 1 terabyte version was announced, featuring 30 to 50% longer battery life, faster download speeds thanks to a Wi-Fi 6E adapter, and improved thermals. The 512 gigabyte model will now go for $549 in the US, whereas the 1 terabyte model will go for $649. There were reviews out upon the announcement of this, so a lot of press got their hands on the Steam Deck OLED, and a lot of people are saying it's just not the screen. Like, it's a way better device on the back end. Tons and tons of improvements that fix anything that was wrong with the original Steam Deck, which has built a lot of confidence and excitement for the inevitable Steam Deck 2. Now, Cog, you and I have been repping what is here behind me, the ROG Ally. Great screen, 1080, 60. Battery life, though, not great.
Not great.
We've been really dedicated to the ROG Ally here. I've kind of left my Steam Deck in its case for months now because of it. I have this new PlayStation Portal beside me, which I'm going to test out because I am I was actually very excited about this. Like, I bought it literally just to show Sony, like, make another Vita, y'all.
I would support this so you can make the real.
Go make the real one now. But I wanted to try it out because the Logitech G Cloud made me a believer in that kind of cloud remote play compatibility. So I want to see what it's like for dedicated to PlayStation. Especially because of one of the games I'm playing on my PlayStation a lot. I think it'd be great for it. So we'll test that out later tonight. But as a handheld connoisseur, I'm very excited about this. Cog, I want to know for you, is the big ROG Ally, you were playing it on the plane, in the hospital. Like, this is your buddy. This has been your life companion, man.
Facts.
Been saving you in any squeeze you've been in.
Facts.
Is the Steam Deck OLED making you, are you flirting again?
I know. I heard about what's going on over there. No, to be honest, no. This is a weird one for me. I guess it comes down to usage rate, right? It comes down to how you utilize these products, and if you play primarily on Steam and you want stability, you want more battery life, you want a little bit more optimization and a beautiful UI, Steam Deck is the way to go. But it's just the way I game. 1, I play Destiny, which is still banned on the Steam Deck. 2, I need multiple storefronts. If I want to play Diablo 4, I can't really. I mean, you can do it over there, but I want to do it over there on Blizzard. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's certain things, and the killer for me is going to be Xbox Game Pass native. And the fact that I don't have to stream, I don't go through some convoluted programming course just to get that going over there. It's still not dedicated. So I get it. Better battery life. OLED screen is going to be huge. And one thing about Steam Deck, I will give over the ROG, you eke out way more performance. When you're on that flight, you feel a little more performance as far as battery life and length of time. Yeah. So this is going to be a good purchase for still a lot of people who waited. But for me, I need to see the innards jump. I don't see anything saying RDNA 3. I don't see anything saying that chipset's better. I don't see anything saying, you know what I mean? Like, so for me, I'm still going to take the power of the Ally and the integration. And to be honest, I don't know if you've been playing a lot. Bro, they've been coming with a ton of updates lately.
Yeah.
900p to kind of match Steam Deck as far as all the different optimizations. the wattage, the deck. Like, it's been a lot going on. So I'm chilling, but I love to see Steam Deck coming out. Where I will have to look is when we get that official Steam Deck 2 situation and you go, okay, let's see how they raise the bar. And I think they're probably like a year or two away from that.
Yeah, as someone who likes to have, like, I'm not a techie, like how you would define yourself often, but when it comes to the handhelds, like, I actually may upgrade for this because, you know what, the Switch OLED, I remember, I think Dustin had the Switch OLED pre-ordered and he asked me, like, hey, do you want it? At first I was like, no. But then I said, you know what? Yeah. And it's funny. That's the same thing that happened with the Series X. He's like, I got a pre-order. Do you want it? I was like, nah, wait, yeah. And that, I just changed my mind. And both times I'm like, I got to open my mind more because I didn't regret either of them. So with the Switch OLED, I was like, yeah, this screen is a difference maker. Now we're talking a better screen, better battery life, bigger storage space, which I think is a little overrated, might be the right word. Not because people don't want, but like, look, you're not going to play all the games on your hard drive. And the limited space for me, like I bought the most expensive version of the Steam Deck when it was first announced. So I bought whatever had the maximum, I think it was 512 gigabytes. That's enough there. 1 terabyte is like, I mean, if you want to have everything, get that offline play or whatever going, like then you're good to go. But for me, I know I wouldn't make the most use of it. So I'd probably buy the 512 gigabyte model again, unless there was something special about the 1 terabyte version that I'd be missing. Because like, for example, with the maximum one, they had the a special type of coating on the screen as well. So it was like, to me, more worth it to upgrade to that. But otherwise, I am, because here's the thing, right? I don't sit down a game on my handheld like I did when I was a kid for like 4 or 5 hours at a time, right? Where I'm just like parked on the couch, just changing positions constantly, playing like Pokemon Emerald or whatever. It's a lot different now where like it's more like the burst plays, right? You play for like 2, maybe 3 hours. And that's what the ROG gives you, right? And you don't feel that drop off from going from your console to the handheld, right? Like, which you kind of felt with the Steam Deck. Well, it was cool to play all those games on the go. So that's where it's like, it's really hard for me to let that one go, man. It doesn't have the best battery life for sure. But I mean, playing some games on like, I mean, it's incredible how good it looks. It's really incredible,
bro. When I play,
you got to go in, and when you first get it, we can't forget. You have the what did you say? You're in the club. It's waking you up at night. Everyone's guaranteed to wake up at least once because of the ROG Ally. You're like,
lights, it's bright as hell. You got to do a lot of tweaking and twerking as far as the settings and stuff like that, for sure. But it's like once you see that power of just the playing of games, and the person who played Cyberpunk consistently on Steam Deck, and I remember throwing it on Ally, and I'm like, oh, this is the jump right here. So that's where I'm at.
We got more in the world of Xbox here. A couple of interviews happened with Matt Booty. First one I wanted to talk about was making some headlines that he suggested a Hellblade 2 will come out later in 2024. Here's the exact quote. We've got a goal of a big game, a new release, something significant going out 4 times a year. So every 3 months, we've got something new coming out. And I think with Starfield, and then we're going to Forza Motorsport, and then we head into the next year, we showed the game Ara History Untold and the game Towerborn at Gamescom. We've got Hellblade 2 that comes later. So I feel like we're getting there. So I'm curious what you thought about this choice of words, because some headlines have been saying like, it's confirmed, late 2024 is the release window. Whereas it sounds like he's just saying to me, like, after those 2, this will be there, which could be spring, could be summer, could be fall, could be winter. What's your read of this Matt Booty quote from, let me get the exact name of the podcast here, out of respect, the Fourth Curtain.
The Fourth Curtain, yeah. I did hear about this. I think it's the latter, where I think it's after the initial games, like the Towerborn and stuff like that. I would assume Hellblade is, if I had to put a gun in my head, Hellblade I feel is ahead of like something like Avowed, right? So to me, I would say, yeah, it's still potentially, top half. Now that could change, if they want to give them more time. But that's how I'm interpreting his segment. As far as he's looking at the first half, he's going to mention the first half games, but he's going to mention Hellblade towards the latter of the first half game. That's how I interpret it until we hear otherwise.
I agree. I think that it's just a matter of like sometime after these 2 games. And I don't think that means that it's coming out in the fall. Although I wouldn't be too surprised if it were a fall game, just based off how off I was on the original release window and what it actually seems to be. But yeah, at least they're firming it up for 2024 and they feel confident about that. I think that's pretty good. But also in this interview, he mentioned a plethora of other things that I thought were worth noting here. He said that the project the studio tackles next isn't about what we need, but what the studio is passionate about. He also said that creativity at Xbox Game Studios shouldn't be a possibility. It should be an inevitability, and that one of the main goals for all of Xbox Studios is to create a diverse games lineup from small games like Pentiment to big AAA games such as Starfield and everything in between, not just focusing on some selected games. He also said, quote, "We have schedules and budgets and all these things, but ultimately it's about pursuit of the craft of our studios and make sure that other stuff doesn't stand in the way," end quote. He talked a bit about recently spending time at the Coalition, which is the Gears of War team, and id, to see project progress on these various studios, which I think is very, very important to note here. He recognizes Gears of War as a franchise that has horror elements to it, talks about it being about brotherhood, which I think was also a key quote because we haven't heard it referenced in that way in some time, since when Cliffy D was on it.
Yes, good point.
He said Doom is rooted in mechanics and gameplay, purest sort of expression of that kind of shooter. And lastly, that it's important to Matt that all these studios connect to each other, so suggesting that there is more collaboration to come after him taking over the ZeniMax and Xbox side of things here. So with all of that wrapped, Cog, any quotes, any statements, any testaments here that stand out to you?
Yeah, I love the overall goal, which is a diverse lineup of games, not hindering creativity, not putting out per se mandates from developers that you have to necessarily do X, Y, and Z, because I think historically it's shown that developers do their best when they are creative and allowed to express themselves on a project they want to. I think they have the right approach. I've always said that the diverse lineup is the right approach. I like what he said about Gears, because like you said, that's a callback to, if there's any negative, the Gears games are good right now, but if there's any negative sentiment that people can make a point on, I would agree, is that they've lost their way with the horror element. I like scary Gears. I like Gears 1, the segment where the Berserker comes out and you got this, unstoppable thing that you really can't kill till you get outside and, you shoot the thing. I forgot, I always butcher the name. It's not the Hammer of Dawn, right? Or whatever it is, right? Yeah. So I like Gears when you went from light to dark and those bat-like creatures called the Krill could kill you instantly. It gave a theme, and I feel they're so blockbuster boombastic that it feels like a normal day for them fighting Brumax, fighting, you know what I'm saying? Like, so when I hear that, I hope that's a signal that they may be going back, because this is what Cliffy B is talking about. And I will, even though I pushed back last week on Cliffy B as far as remake, I will always ride with Cliffy B on the Gears 1 through 3 being core essence, roots, brotherhood, emotional moments in conjunction with more of a darker tone. That's what I want from Gears. So I hope that's going on. I know graphically Coalition is going to do well. And I just hope that whatever the next Gears is, they actually feed into what they did with Hivebusters, which is more classes. And he's talking about Doom. I liked everything he said. I mean, like I said, I've heard great things about Matt. The key is going to be, Matty, another Matt, is going to be, he's got to execute. Where he's going to be judged is these 2018 games in conjunction with now ZeniMax proper moving forward, right? What are the quality of these games? A big one for him that I think I'm going to hold him accountable for is Fable, because I know he's been really in the trenches. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I'm going to look at it. I think he's going to be fine, but I know some people still say, hey, man, jury's still out. We need to see. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's fair. I think it's fair. And I think Fable, Hellblade, if those games really land, that will say a lot to me, because I always hear about his involvement and what's going on and stuff. So I'm curious. What about you? What these comments?
Yeah, I agree that the real start to finish projects are going to say a lot about Matt Booty and his position at Xbox, because I know when things were starting to look a little hazy earlier in the year when it came to Redfall, he was the name getting tossed around as the guy who had to go, which was then swiftly clarified by press. They're like, well, he handles the Xbox side of things. They just didn't handle Bethesda at all.
They got him up out of that.
So they were really saving his butt there. But obviously now with him overseeing it all, much more blame can fall at his feet. But those main like 2018 studios, South of Midnight as well. Like they're these are gonna be the ones that he's judged the harshest for. Yeah, State of Decay. Yeah,
Initiative.
Yeah, the Initiative, man. I don't know. I want to hope for the best on that, but nothing about that right now is giving me any reason to feel confident.
Fair,
but otherwise, I really agree with you on the diversity of the portfolio. As time goes on, that speaks to me a lot more, and I love Xbox's vision for that. I think it's the smart way to go. I think it makes sense with a subscription service driven platform anyway. Especially if you're trying to just hook someone in with like that one game, right? Like you got to speak to all kinds of audience. And it works for me because clearly there's a lot of people in the Xbox building who love RPGs because they're always throwing fucking cash at those, and then they get everything else around it. So like they're taking care of my baby and then getting everyone else involved. To me, it's just best of both worlds. Keen to see what the Coalition and id are working on, in particular id, because there were rumors of it being Quake. We get another Quake remaster earlier this year, so it seems like they may be lining something up, but who knows? But that's one that I really want to get an update on. So excited to learn more from both those teams. Otherwise, no other comments on these, so we can move on.
Nice.
Dragon's Dogma 2 was rated in Saudi Arabia, suggesting that a release may be soon. Remember, we covered a couple of weeks ago that Capcom said a big AAA game is coming out in the first quarter of next year. So could this be it? Some people thought with the 20th anniversary of Monster Hunter was that, but is it Dragon's Dogma 2? Do they start the marketing campaign at the top of the year and release it in like April or something? What do you think?
I mean, you're out here rating in Saudi Arabia out here snitching. I mean, who knows? It feels like it, right? I can see it. I can see it potentially. It's a possibility.
I hope so.
I mean, I hope so because I know the Monster Hunter crowd, they go hard. They go hard. They want their Monster Hunter. But I think it may be time for Dogma ahead of schedule.
Dude, like this game. Okay, so like this whole era of Capcom, they've done an excellent job, right? This new golden era of Capcom. But they have yet to touch the IP that like I adore. I love Resident Evil, but like I adore Dragon's Dogma 1. I adore Mega Man. And they haven't brought, outside of collections, any of that new creative energy to Mega Man. The X series in particular. I know they did 11, but like I get it. When you look at I watched this channel called Jay's Reviews, and this guy like is a Mega Man wizard. And when you really look at the history of the X series, I get why Capcom just went, we're just gonna leave that over there for now. Cause like,
why so?
Oh, it's just such an up and down series in quality.
Gotcha.
Such an up and down. Like the first X game is amazing. I love X2, X3, X4. Like the first 4 games are really good. And then it's like X5, 6, 7 is one of the worst games ever made. And then X8, I love. That was my introduction to the series, but I love X8. But I know it's not like an incredible game. And they just stopped there on the PS2. So I would love for the Capcom to just show up and be like, yo, X9. Anyway, I'm getting off track. I'm very excited for this simply because with Dragon's Dogma 2, I finally get one of my babies to see the Capcom treatment. And I love that they're staying true to the single player roots of the game with the AI, the AI companions that would follow you around, and the pawns would pick up cues from other people's playthroughs and give you information on the world. I can't wait to see how they carry that forward. I implore people, if you have not played Dragon's Dogma 1, it is janky, it is hardcore, it's by design. Give it a shot, though. The AI is still so impressive. Like let's say I bring your pawn in, Cog, and you went to the northeast sector of the map, and you guys saw a hill with a fort there. Let's say I'm approaching that in my playthrough and I have your pawn with me. He'll be like, hey, watch out, over this hill, there's going to be a fort. And they got goblins with ballistas up there.
I remember you telling me stuff like this. Yes.
The coolest thing ever. Because it's kind of like what Hideo Kojima presented about like and I can't talk too much because I haven't played Death Stranding, but that sort of strand game mentality of like everyone impacting everyone's playthroughs through the cloud and whatnot. It's kind of that mindset, but in a fantasy RPG. And it's really, really cool. So that's why Dragon's Dogma is better than Death Stranding.
Oh, shots fired early.
I kid. Don't come for me write-ins. I kid. I haven't played it yet. 7 Halo 3 maps have been recreated in Forge and have joined Halo Infinite alongside a free 20-tier pass, which is available right now, I saw Paris Lily actually posted some screenshots of it, and they look really good. We're kind of in this interesting remaster recreation of legendary maps phase. You know, MW3's out with all of the MW. It's funny, I was watching some MW3 multiplayer gameplay. I was like, oh, it looks familiar. That's Wasteland. Like, it just snapped right into my head. I was like, that's Wasteland. Yeah. So we're recreating all these old maps from my childhood, at least. But Cog, what do you think you're going to be hopping in for a little bit of Halo 3 Forge maps?
Bro, I'm getting the itch. I saw those maps and all the fields came right back. Yeah. It was so much. I was like,
Evolved Armor too.
Oh, the Combat Evolved joint looks so.
I might have to spend. I might have to.
Yeah,
they might get my money on that.
They get me on that one, bro. I ain't go front.
It's interesting to track Halo Infinite on Steam for when they drop big cosmetics, because you see them rise up the sales chart. It's like suddenly Steam is like Halo Infinite is one of the best-selling games of the week. I'm like, what? Oh, the Halo Combat Evolved Armor. Yeah, so 343 is counting their money right now. Sorry, go on.
Oh, yeah. No, it was so much that I was like, I wonder how the homie is feeling. Chris Reina. Send some love to him, LSM fam. Condolences. He had lost someone in the family, and he put a tweet out and a couple of days ago. But I tweeted at him, I think the next day, because I know how much Halo 3 means to him. Obviously, we had at the LSM event. This is one of his games of the year, greatest games of all time. And I know he has to be going crazy when he sees that. So, I just wanted to send him some positive vibes, because I know that's his game. But yeah, that I felt every minute of those maps. I was like, yeah, I'm back. We're going to do some more community nights with the Lords and stuff like that as well with it.
Yeah, I'm definitely hopping in as well. It looks like a really good time, especially the free 20 tier pass. I love that they added that in alongside it. It's pretty cool.
Yes, absolutely.
Little update on Grounded here. We talked about their Playgrounds update, which is, I guess, if you will, Forge for Grounded. And that's out now. So if you were interested in playing around with that and creating levels and content for the community to play with, that is there.
Yes, love to see it. Hopefully they make something cool, because I'm not making anything. I'm waiting for y'all to make it, and then I'm jumping in.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. This Mass Effect rumor may not leave Lord Cognito or myself pleased, but we'll talk about it anyway. Now, it is just a rumor, and some of Jeff's math did not math out right, in my opinion. But him and Timur were talking on Giant Bomb. They were talking about the new Mass Effect game coming out, and that it may not release until 2029, which is quite the gap now, since we just got a pretty big tease on N7 Day a week ago, as of the time of recording this. And that's 6 years away. And so the way he mathed it out is that he said the window from the reveal of Dragon Age Dreadwolf to its release, which is presumed to be in 2024, 6 years, right? It was revealed in 2018 at the Game Awards. He said that gap will be similar to that of Mass Effect. So you start now, we'll see you in 2029. I don't think this makes much sense, because this game was revealed in 2020.
Right.
And that would put it with a 2026 window, which is a lot more feasible, especially for how much Mass Effect is teasing, right? It'd be so stupid for them to be teasing this much and have nothing to show for another over half a decade. So no offense to my man Jeff Grubb, I'm calling a little bullshit on this. It just doesn't, something about it doesn't smell right. It doesn't math out properly. I think it is all hands on deck for Dragon Age Dreadwolf, so I can see why that would take a while. But they've had a skeleton crew on the next Mass Effect for 3 years. And they're not just doing nothing. BioWare has been retooling and regearing for years, much to the dismay of many people online, but they've moved people off of Star Wars The Old Republic. Like, they have geared everyone towards the two primary franchises that really got them here. As much as that pains me to admit that KOTOR got left behind. They are working with the two franchises that got them here and giving them all their attention. And I imagine, I would be very surprised. I haven't heard anything yet, but I would not be surprised if Dragon Age Dreadwolf showed up at the Game Awards. I feel like if you're going to be coming out next year, probably by the end of next year.
Yeah.
And they've been at the Game Awards with their trailers every time. Feels like a good time to re-reveal with the gameplay and show everything off. I'd be very excited to see that. I'll get into my optimism on BioWare in a little bit, but for you, Lord Cognito, your beloved N7, Mass Effect, all that good stuff, sir. What do you what do you think about 2029, 2026? What theory are you going with?
Oh man, I'll be usually right though. Like it pains me. I don't want to believe this. Like I don't want to believe that I gotta look, man. It's my birthday now. What I'm gonna be in 2029? Like, bro. Like, oh man. Like, I just need explanation as to your point. This is where I lean towards you. Why would you reveal in 2020?
Mm-hmm.
You know, a new Mass Effect game is coming. So at that point, I look at as the clock starts then.
Yeah.
Right? So unless you're telling me the development was so horrid from the last 3 years that they went and shifted, and from my understanding, they got the I forgot the woman's name. She's awesome.
Mary DeMar.
Is she the one that did Deus Ex? They got one of the,
Yep.
Yes. So I'm like, okay, a little bit of pedigree. Obviously, we don't know if all of the classic Biowares might not be there, but I like who's leading it, right? Mm-hmm. So now we get to 2023. They do N7 Day, and let's be honest, we didn't expect much. We came in like, okay, you know, they may show a little thing here and there, just pay homage to the franchise. Not full on spoilery Mike Gamble reveals, full on, which they say gameplay of who could be the new Spectre or what have you. So to me, if you're ramping up like this to me now begins the start of it. And then I would assume it would have been like another, if 2020 was the thing, I was thinking like 2025, 2026, the latest. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I am shocked that Grubb is saying may not release until 2029. If that's the case, that's extremely disappointing. No disrespect to my devs. What the hell are y'all doing? Why is the game taking that long? You know, and the only thing I will say to defend this, if this is true, which I don't want to believe, is development of Dreadwolf was that horrid that they pulled off the Mass Effect 5 team and said, get this out the finish line. Because we do know Dreadwolf went through some hell. Apparently it was like, remember, it was like a God of War game. Totally different game. Yep. So there is a potential that because, let's be honest, it's going to be hard for them to get to Mass Effect if Dreadwolf is a complete failure.
Yeah, that's why it's gotta be all hands on deck for this.
They're on the clock. So I will say that's the only thing I could potentially think about, because I don't want to believe that you coming out in 2020. That's not the birthday gift I'm trying to hear. That's not on the program. The Citadel does not approve that message. So that's where I'm at. So I'm going to stay on my 2026. I hope Grug, man. Damn, if you're right, I would be so mad. But we'll see what happens. So buy Dreadwolf, please. Reveal yourself at the Game Awards and tell us that you're coming out next year so we can get you out the way and focus on what I need to play. You know, so I'm gonna play Dreadwolf, but you know what I'm saying? I'll be a
yeah, Dreadwolf. I think it's gonna be on Frostbite, but the rumor is that the new Mass Effect game will be on Unreal Engine.
As it should be, because our faces were too tired on Frostbite last time. Ryder, all of y'all with the animations with the nasty walk. No. Don't you ever put that Frostbite. Thank you, Vince Ampella, for showing them the way that if you make a good game on another engine, you don't got to use their proprietary engine. Frostbite, not trashing.
Move on.
Battlefield, all that other stuff. How
much you lose,
Yeah, but narrative storytelling, #just one energy, to keep your Frostbite to yourself. Yep. That's where I'm at with it.
I agree completely. I know they're going for a more intimate story with Dragon Age Dreadwolf, so I'm excited to see what that turns out to be. WB, Warner Bros. Will focus more on live service games going forward. Quote, our focus is on transforming the biggest franchises from largely console and PC based with 3 to 4 year release schedules to include more always on gameplay through live services, multi-platform and free-to-play extensions, with the goal to have more players spending more time on more platforms. Ultimately, we want to drive engagement and monetization of longer cycles and at higher levels. We have put specific capabilities. I just reading that first section is just soul killing. Let me finish. We are currently under scale and see significant opportunity to generate greater post-purchase revenue, end quote. Meanwhile, WCCF Tech picked up a job listing for Monolith, developers of the Wonder Woman game, and before that, the Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War games. And they describe a lead software engineering and gameplay position as requiring, quote, experience helping maintain a live service product or game, end quote. Now, in the same breath here, I'll actually knock both of these out. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League had some new footage revealed in a what's called Suicide Squad Insider 01. This was focused on story and gameplay. Mikey Rivers has the write-in. Hey, Dukes, new dev vlog just released for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Have you had any time to check this out? There's some games that exist that never stood a chance from the moment they were shown off to the moment from their release. Fans and maybe sometimes critics are ready to hate on something from the get-go. Do you think Suicide Squad will ever get a fair shake? It's definitely not what we wanted from Rocksteady, this multiplayer live service bonanza, but I cannot deny they are still talented and can possibly create something fun we weren't expecting. So yeah, Cog, we have this clear WB live service focus and a absolute kill shot to any excitement for their games. They're doing the precise opposite of everything they should be doing with these IP. Wonder Woman is a live service game. I mean, I'm just fascinated to see how they even pull that off. If you had any hope that Multiverse is the game that they took down that was, by the way, in beta, in case you didn't know, for a while. If you think it's going to come back as this Smash clone and they're going to give you a nice retail copy too and get away from the free-to-play model, nope, that's not happening. And it's clear as day looking at this new Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League gameplay. I think what's happening is people are really seeing the forest for the trees. Like, naturally, Rocksteady produced some of the best superhero games of all time. To see them go into a live service action RPG shooter and just look like other games is awful. You look at the open world in Metropolis in this game, you could tell they were building towards that rumored Superman game, and they were told to do this instead. And that's why I think a lot of people are disgruntled with the product, because I think when you look at the cutscenes and the presentation and even the flow of the gameplay, I don't think Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League looks like a legitimate bad game. It's just not anything I would ever want from Rocksteady. That's literally wasted talent. It reminds me of what happened with Redfall, right? Exactly that, where you just lose all this talent that built up your pedigree at Arcane, and you make something completely different, and you're a shell of yourself by the time it's out. I think the same thing's going to happen to Rocksteady with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, except compared to the likes of, I think, Avengers or Redfall, I think this game actually looks fun to play. I just don't think it's what I want to play out of this team. But WB's going the exact opposite direction. We know they were on the list as a potential purchase target for Xbox, to the point where we had emails of Phil Spencer confirming that they were talking at one point. And obviously, those talks fell through. WB has pivoted. They were originally looking to sell off and get out of the games business. So now this is their decision. They're going to monetize. They're going to do live service, everything. And I mean, it explains what's happening with Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat for the last two releases has been horrendously monetized. Even if those main stories are fantastic, even if the fighting looks and feels good, this company's going in an opposite direction. And it screams to me, I'm starting to read these trends. It screams to me, because I was thinking about it with Modern Warfare 3, right? Like this way you kind of bump up your value as you're selling, right? And here with WB, go all in on live service, just like Bethesda did, and then get ready to sell. So they're getting out of the game soon, but they're going all in on monetization. Their companies are going to be, or rather their respective developers are likely to get fucking annihilated for this by fans. And they're going to sell off. That's my prediction. I know it's a really long tail, ambitious prediction, but we're starting to see a trend here. This is, to me, the beginning of a trend. And so that's what I see in all this, Cog. But what do you make of, have you had a chance to check out the Suicide Squad's new gameplay? And what do you make of WB's move to more live service? And of course, the job positioning at Monolith for the Wonder Woman game?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was more disappointed about the Wonder Woman game being live service, because I remember when that was announced, I was really excited for, them to do a Wonder Woman game with their pedigree, the studios that they have, and obviously just one style energy to see where they would go with it. I think it's a great character, deserving. So when I hear this, I'm gonna echo everything you said, which is we have now seen a trend when there is an aggressive live service push from a publisher, that sometimes things are not well, right? We've seen it. The reports have come out on my beloved Bungie that, because of all this aggressive monetization that we would push back. What are you doing? Right. Now it's come out that, they needed that Sony acquisition to basically save them from the depths of going under. Right. Yeah. So we're starting to see this trend. We saw ZeniMax / Bethesda pre-acquisition. All these moves, we're like, do we really need a Fallout 76 at this point? Do we really need a Wolfenstein cooperative game at this point? Again, like you said beautifully, like arcade, when you're known for these quality single player experiences with WB, we have to bend the knee to like the Rocksteadies and the Arkham games and these, genre defining games. I mean, even with Monolith, I believe, not Monolith. Who's the one that made Shadow of Mordor? Is it them? Monolith?
Yeah, Monolith made Shadow of Mordor.
I always get confused with the Nemesis system. We're like, this is cool, that kind of thing. So when you see people who are innovative in the space make these quality experiences that they're known for, now pivot aggressively into what I consider catching the wave, right? The wave is less, if we just get one of them, right? You know what I'm saying? Like that could pay for everything. And, there's risk involved. There's the thing that we have to realize that there's a lot of saturation in the market. Not everybody can be Fortnite. Not everybody. And then here's the thing. What I've learned with Bungie, you could have something great, or Halo Infinite, you could have something great, right? And if you don't have a sustained model to keep people in, you can fail that way. So it's a tough business. And I get it. Companies are seeing, the long term, all the bread you can make, and that we get one of those that could save us, but there are risks involved. So I am worried. I think you are on fire with, I am worried about the long term. And the key thing that we saw with the beautiful thing about the ABK trial is we got all the dirt, all the business, all what people who thought about how they valued this, everybody snitched on how they thought about each other. You know what I'm saying? And we saw Microsoft say, but they didn't want to give up the license IP. Mm-hmm. So without the IP, nah, buddy, we just don't want you and your talent without the IP. It's the combination of both that makes you great. And now if you're going to go away into live service, Suicide looks cool. So a little bit of it looks cool. I got really nothing bad to say, but we got to see if it sticks, because the hardcore like you that know them for what they are, the only person I know as hardcore as you with them is Rand. Rand is a huge, shout out to Solve. No, Solve, I'm bugging. Oh my God, Solve loves the Arkham games. Oh my God.
I truly believe there's never been anything better in the superhero video game genre. Like the fact that they were producing those games at such a steady clip, including Arkham Origins, by the way, which I know wasn't Rocksteady, and they walked away from that model.
Yeah.
Like will never make sense to me.
You can make the argument, right? But even before Insomniac, they were the guys. So
absolutely.
Shout out to Solve, shout out to Kai Batu. They threatened me. They was like, Cock, if you don't play these games, they was like, bro, I got threatened. They got tired of me and just gifted me the games and put it on my
Steam. They should have. Absolutely. Those are must-play games.
Yes.
Those are Spider-Man. Those are must-play games if you like superheroes at all. Like if you show up in a movie theater and like you have not played these games, and you're watching all these comic book things, that you owe it to yourself to check these games out. They're love letters to that stuff.
Facts. They disowned me if I did. So I had to do my homework. I said, all right, I'll play it. Goddamn.
Did you play and beat all of them, or?
I played and beat the first one?
You only did Asylum?
Yeah, they gave me the whole collection, bro. They was like, get it.
You haven't done City?
No, I haven't done City.
That is the best superhero game of all time. Oh, the story, bro.
Kai's on me. Kai Batu's
I'm not saying
on me.
anything.
Yeah,
I got friends all on my deck.
Yeah, they got me. They know. But I did start. So
it's good. Asylum's amazing, but City
is what it is.
That's the blueprint. That's the blueprint.
Okay, fair enough. So that's what it. Okay, all right.
Yeah, dude, you will love that game. Story alone, incredible. Still hasn't been topped. It's just so good.
Wow, that's
very
creative. High praise. Okay.
Oh my God, yeah. All right, let's get into what games are playing, Cog. Interesting list you got here, sir. I want to hear from you first. Oh, I didn't see this before we recorded. Okay. Go for it, man. What are you playing?
So, obviously, we're getting all hyped for January, February. Yakuza's in the air, and Obviously, I'm Team Ichiban. I want to see the story. We do know that Kiryu has returned in some fashion, and that we know in Infinite Wealth they will be together, right? So there's a part of me that's like, bro, you have to play Dragon Gate, especially with the last Tokyo Game Show when RGG came on stage. And they were so passionate. They were like, look, man, they made the announcement that Like a Dragon Gaiden was going to be in Game Pass, right? So that was huge. And then they were like, hey, this is the continuation of the story. You need to know what's going on with Kiryu. And I'm like, all right. Now, mind you, like, this is my first Kiryu game.
Wow.
Okay. This is the debut of Kag and Kiryu, right?
Wow. Okay.
So, remember, when I spoke to the homies, I've never played a Yakuza game prior to Like a Dragon, first one. I said, hey guys, real talk. This game looks really fun. I want to try it. I'm hearing good things. Do I have to do my homework or not touch this? They said, Kog, the series is really long. They said to me, these were hardcore Yakuza fans. They were like, look, this is separate enough that it's okay for you to do this. He said, you may not get certain little references and callbacks that will be really significant to a hardcore Yakuza fan. But Ichiban and what they're doing, this is a whole new thing. This is actually a cool sideway. But they was like, go play the old joints. But I was like, yeah, I like Ichiban. But anyway, let's focus back to where we are. So I'm like, all right, let's see what's going on with your man Kiryu, right? First thing off the bat, I will say, this is a smooth operator. I like his swag. I like the agent style. So pretty much he's coming through. It reminds me of he's trying to be apparently this is before the events of Like a Dragon. So the beauty is you're coming around and you're seeing, oh, there's Survivor. There's like, you're seeing places where Ichiban running around, later, but this is Kiryu now in the town. So the cool thing is like he's coming through. He's really trying. He took the deal, with the organization, protected the orphanage, protect the thing, but he has to fake this death as if he is no longer curious. So he's running around calling himself Jurio or whatever he's called himself, right? So he's working for another organization that have him doing stuff. So it's story-wise starts off great. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, let's get to it. Now, Maddie, we got to talk about this combat.
Let's see.
Now, look. I know I am turn-based bias. I know it. I'm not going to say that this does not play a factor, and this was a little jarring for me at first. But I'm like, okay, I'm going to get into it. I used to play beat-em-ups. I used to do all this stuff. So my issue, the way you sip in the water is mad funny. The issue I have is, bruh, this fighting is so antiquated. It's not that it doesn't look cool, but my first beef is if you play Dark Souls games, I'm used to the lock on. Where's the lock on, my guy? Like, I can't. So dudes just run up me, slapping you in the back of the head, and you can't even turn around. I got to hit the sprint button and then to face them. Yeah. Again, Yakuza fans, please, if I am saying rookie things and you're like, Cog, it's in the game, what you got to do, please correct me. Because I've been trying. I paused the game and I went through every look. I said, where is the focus on the enemy button? Where's the clicking the analog so I can... Bro, there's like 7 people. You getting slapped around. People got bats. It's crazy in these streets, right? So what I've learned to do to compensate for this bad fighting is I basically started using RB and the dodge. Even though they're behind me and I can't face them sometimes, I use that just to try to scoot away, and then you start to get the combo. So I'm going to be real with you, Maddie, and this is not a spiteful revenge story. Oh, you just hated on Ichiban. Nah, here come Cog to hate on you. But I have to be honest. The fighting was so annoying to me that I'm like, I'm about to uninstall this.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, I'm not having fun.
This is what we call full circle storytelling.
And I was ready to give it up because the character is so cool. Like, he's just smooth. He's about honor. And then, he just got a swag to him. I do like the style switching. They have an agent style where he pulls out this magic, like almost like a Wonder Woman lasso kind of thing, and he kind of spins at him. It's kind of cool. It don't make no sense. It's
that's new. I haven't heard that.
Yeah, it's over the top foolishness, but it actually looks cool and it's fun. But then you unlock this other thing called like the Dragon of Dogma stands like that.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what you're used to playing, which is, punch, and then you hold, you do these super moves, you knock people out. I love the quick time events. Sometimes you knock people down. Here's another problem. Sometimes the game will say press Y and you press it and nothing doesn't happen. Or sometimes the prompt, when I know it's supposed to happen, doesn't happen. So the combat is still a wonky bit of a mess. And then RGG, y'all got to work on y'all rag dolls after you knock the people out. Is a little antiquated. It's like they always be doing, like it's a little antiquated. But I get, that's Yakuza silliness. I get over that. So I was this close to uninstalling this game.
What kept you around?
This is what kept me around. I got to a part where something real, like the story of this game is heat.
Yeah.
And it got to this part where he said, wait a minute, I don't want to spoil too much, but the people he running with, he like, y'all gonna do this to one of y'all own? Like, that's how y'all doing? Like, he's so honorable. And he was just like, and I was like, oh no, I got to find out how this gonna go. You know what I'm saying? So I stayed, and as I stayed in the pocket with this fighting, you have to buy the moves. You have to start to get into the move. And then I started to unlock cool things. I got this little drone. I got this drone that you can irritate certain enemies, and then I can focus on these enemies. I got this little cigarette thing with a bomb. And then he's got all these
James Bond almost.
He's James Bond. And then I ain't gonna front. Him in a suit is fire with and then don't let him take the glasses off.
Yes.
You upset him. Don't you do that. And then, like I said, like where I'm at now, it's like you call my man a simp. Your man's a simp for homeless people. Like this dude is like, I'm like, bro, we got a main mission to do, but he want to sit there and take on all the homeless problems of the area, which is honorable. But I will say that those things are fun. Those little missions are fun. They're really cool. And then I will say, Manny, the gameplay loop kicked in by chapter 3. At chapter 2, chapter 3, you meet a character who you start to bond with a little bit. And this is when the beauty of Sega comes in. And you're like, it's this fully fledged town. It's vibrant. It's alive. The humor is so good. He balances because he's the straight man, right? He's the complete antithesis of Ichiban, but he really fleshes it out. So I will say, and once you learn some of these later moves that really, I felt maybe some of them should have been there from the beginning. I guess they make you relearn every little skill. You got to purchase everything. That's where it starts to open up. So I'm like, you know what? I'm liking you now. Mm-hmm. I'm liking you now. I weathered the storm. And again, it could be because I'm a rookie. Kiryu fans, y'all can be like, Cog, you a fraud. This is how it always been. But I just will say, bro, it is antiquated. And they have to, this is the best version of this antiquated style. And I will always take the turn-based over it. But once you unlock the moves, it starts to get into a beauty and a fun. And then I started to rock. So I'm sticking with it.
Okay.
Like a Dragon Gaiden. And the story is so good. It is classic RPG. One thing is funny, RGG. Wait, you see mysterious men, ding, and then like shiesty individuals, and then you gotta find they just
the mob enemy names.
It is so funny. Like there's something, and it's an addicting quality. So I'm in with that, and then the last, of course, we talked about Reina, Tekken 7. I've been doing a lot of treasure battle modes. I've been doing that. I've been fighting online a little bit. Getting the skills still sharp. My fever pitch for Tekken is at its highest. I cannot stop playing. So this is where I'm at right now. I'm in a nice little pocket. And also, like a Dragon Gaiden is on Windows Play Anywhere. So I can do that with the ROG and cross save. So yeah, that's where I'm at. But I had to tell the truth about little certain things about this.
You're not alone on that, to my knowledge. A buddy of mine really likes the story in Yakuza. Like he played Kiwami 1. And he really liked the story for it, but he wasn't crazy about the combat. So you're definitely not alone on that. I will say I loved Kiwami 1's combat. Like I thought they had 4 different styles, and they were all for different situations. Like you had like Rush for like quick beat 'em ups. You had like more like brawler, like AOE kind of moves.
Yes.
And so on and so forth. So it sounds like they have that in this game. Because and then Kiwami 2, they changed it to, I think they put it down to like 2 or 3 styles, if I'm remembering correctly. And that was I thought a really bad change, and I thought the combat in that game felt worse. But they always do these little wrinkles that are almost sink or swim. Like some feel good, some don't feel great, which is why I was nervous getting into Yakuza 3 and 4 because I'm like, yeah, man, like I know we don't have we're going with PS3 games here at the time, right? So I know I'm not going to get all the bells and whistles until I get to 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hear where you're at, and that's definitely not an uncommon take. So I'm curious what the community will say in response. Will they eat you alive like they ate me alive? I wonder.
That's what we got to see. We got to see.
Look,
I'm curious. I want them to come for me because I'm the inexperienced Kiryu fan, and into his journey and stuff. But I'll have more to say later.
Okay. And what else are you playing, sir?
Yeah, just that Tekken 7. I've been doing, like I said, obviously the Reina character inspired me. I've been kind of going through the ones that didn't make the cut for me. I'm a huge Craig Marduk fan. The UFC, the tackle, the jiu-jitsu. So I'm now convinced he's going to be part of the DLC. So I stopped my practice with him. Basically, I'm trying to main my 3. It's been, again, Harang still number 1. Lee Chalan might be coming back up to number 2. Based on me playing him in 7, but because 8 is so different when you have to relearn your characters. I'm trying to reserve my judgment for because Law. And when I play Law in 8, it is oh my god, Bruce Lee. So my number 2 and my number 3 is juggling right now. I've been a Lee Chaolan main. No, I shouldn't say main, but actually he was main before Harang came out because Harang didn't exist until Tekken 3. Before Harang, I was a Lee Chaolan main. He was a sub-boss in Tekken 1 and 2. He was Kazuya's half-brother. They would call him a silver-haired demon. He was just like a palette swap of martial law in the beginning. And then by Tekken 4, they made him into a unique style called Violent, and he had these kicks, and he was flashy, he was suave, and excellent, and all. He was just a smooth character, you know what I'm saying, with flashy power. So now he looks a little bit of a goof in 8 with some weird suit and ski glasses. I don't know what's going on. So I'm seeing who's battling for my number 2. So I'm playing a lot of martial law and Lee Chaolan, and I'm going to wait until I play Lee in Tekken 8. He hasn't come out yet. And hopefully they do another network beta test and see what's going on. But I'm thoroughly in the mix, man. I play it every day before night.
Back. Can't wait.
It's so good. So good.
Claudio.
Yeah. So what you been playing, sir?
I've been playing a fighting game of my own here. Definitely not Tekken 7, but the game that's been kind of taking me away from everything else is actually still Nick All-Star Brawl 2. I gotta say, this is way better than it has any right to be, but also than I ever expected. Like I enjoyed the first one a lot. I went on about that in the first episode that we did talking about it last week. And this time around though, it's like, you know, I got a couple of friends to pick it up. I was like, trust me. I was like, this is like the next iteration of Smash. Like think about it. You had Smash 64 with Nick All-Star Brawl 1, like primitive, floaty, figuring things out, but good core. I said they tightened everything up in the sequel. I said, trust me, just pick it up. We'll be on this thing every night. And we have been every night, just a couple hours, just fighting in lobbies. Goes up, unfortunately, to a max of 4 players. I wish it was a little higher so we can get more people involved. But Nick All-Star Brawl 2, man, like every character, it's just like how I felt about Smash. Like, every character feels different enough where they're fun to play with. So I've been rocking with Aang right now. Aang's got a double jump. So most characters, you get like one jump and then a recovery, but he's got like a double jump, a recovery, like very much floaty, aerial combo focused. And I've really liked how he feels, but then I've been messing around with Jimmy Neutron, who's very gadget focused. Like you could summon Goddard, have Goddard do attacks for you. You could use like all these things that you've seen from like all the movies from Jet Fusion to he has this big bouncy ball from the original Jimmy Neutron movie. If you remember that one. It just so many callbacks in these move sets, but every character feels different enough where it's just a treat to sit down and play every night. And so that's why I'm excited with my little PlayStation Portal here. I'm going to play some more Nick All-Star Brawl 2 tonight. And plus the single player has been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed the arcade and how it's set up with more themed battles. I think that's a really good touch that I think of the first Smash with. And I loved how they did that. And then the story mode is enjoyable because it's roguelike. There's kind of like this intensity of surviving, not getting hit too many times because your health keeps carrying over,
Mhm.
and beating all of the bosses to get to the end and completing a run. And so yeah, it's a really good time. Like this game is a ton of fun. I'm throwing a lot of hours into it, and I think I'm going to end up going for the platinum trophy for it. Like I really,
Ooh.
really am enjoying it. Yeah, I mean, I got the platinum for the first one. It took way less time, but this one has just been a super, super enjoyable time. Like I could see it maybe depending on hours logged and how the quality of those hours age. We'll see. I could see it like cracking my top 10 of the year. Like it'd be on it's on the
Wow.
fringe, right? But like I could see it, man. I really could. I have to like take a look. I'm saying this off the top of my head. I have to take an honest look at like everything else that I've played this year and see. But like right now, it's like it's not like just a flavor, and it's not like Nick All-Star Brawl 1 where I'm just playing it by myself. I'm like, all right, guess I'll move on. Like part of the life of a fighting game, especially this type of one with all the the callbacks and everything, is laughing with your friends, playing it with someone else. And so having that with Nick All-Star Brawl 2 definitely enhances it a lot. Just having everyone like, let's play tonight. Who are you rocking tonight?
That's what's up.
So yeah, there's just everyone plays different. I've also been rocking Mecha Plankton.
Okay,
Dude.
I was about to ask you. That's what I was just about to ask you. Who you rocking?
Yeah, like I said, Aang. I've been messing around with Raphael, of course. I need a Ninja Turtle.
No turtles? I see turtles all over it.
Okay. Yeah, like Raph is like my go-to for like, all right, you're beating my ass a little too hard. Like, come on, I gotta whip you back in shape now. I would be maining Donatello, honestly. I love everything about Donnie's kit, but his recovery is so bad. So bad. Yeah, just this guy cannot get back on a stage to save his life. Like the second you get knocked off, it's like you're done. You're done. But that's why I like taking him out against my friends, because I'm like, if I whoop you with this guy, you just got disrespected by me big time, which I did twice last night, like just dunking them and everything. That's the thing, right? It's bringing back all the vibes of Smash. Everything I'm saying, if you've listened to Ham Radio Podcast when Smash Ultimate came out, I'm saying the same thing then, and that's when you know you got something good, right? Smash Ultimate is one of my favorite fighting games ever, just because of the roster, the single-player content, it's all there. And I'm not saying this game's on that level, but they definitely got something here, and it's not just like I think the flavor of the week. Like it is a really fun Smash clone. It's tightened up. It's a lot more competitive. If you go into ranked play, bro, I am not ready for that lifestyle. I have not won a single ranked match yet. I have not. I've put like 15 hours in. I've not won a single. I get the floor wipe me every time, and I'm like, it's one of those moments where like, all right, I'm 28, I'm pushing 30. I'm like, are my skills starting to atrophy? Like, am I actually that friggin' bad? I was like, there's no way. There's no way. That's why Tekken 8 COG is going to be like, I might be in my feels if I'm bad at that game. Because like Tekken 7 is the one, really Tekken as a series is like the one fighting game like I picked up, and it was like a natural, right? Like you had the skill. You just had the touch right away. It was a feel with the game, the way the camera worked, the 3D environments, like, it's all there. That and Dead or Alive, right? Like those types of fighting games where there's impact. I think I just work better with those. So it's like Smash games I've never been great at. So I'm wondering if that's it. But Tekken 8, dude, I'm nervous because if I go in there, Mortal Kombat 1 was a scary awakening for me. Like I hopped in, I just got whooped. I'm like, man, this doesn't feel right.
It's different, right? It's different. I think you'll be okay at Tekken 8, but you have to learn the systems, and everything is about this aggressive and stuff like that, and when to use these heat smashes and stuff. But the game does a fantastic job of tutorial. This is one of I didn't mention this before. This is one of the best tutorials learning Tekken, giving you that esports level nuance. Even when the practice mode, they're telling you the frame data on block. They're telling you like it is really, and then they're telling you how to punish things when you block things and against character specifics that you having problems with. Then you could snitch and ghost record the match. It's in this day, and you could just say, okay, this is what they would do. Like it is. I think you'll be fine with that game.
As a fighting game player, are you the silent type or are you the smack talker? So let's say you're combo, like when you're fighting someone. I got a friend who goes dead. Like we'll be talking up, like, yeah, let's go, bro. Like having a fun time. You see that loading screen, dead quiet until the end of the next fight. Are you that kind of guy, or are you like, I run my mouth during the fight?
I'm that guy historically. However, if you engage, I will. Then my mouth gets crazy. So I am. It's fun. I'm humble. I'm honorable at first. I never disrespect the competition. You know what I'm saying? But like, There's certain people that when they kill you, like, yeah, and you're like, oh no, he didn't. He did not
No.
beat me in that round, and he throwing grunts and he doing all this extra. Oh, now it kind of because listen, I came up under King David.
Mm-hmm.
Think about how that must. Think of young Cog and King David's mouth and him beating you. Do you want to lose to King David and him having the whole crew laugh at you because he's the funniest person in the room?
Yeah.
After getting beat by him, you bet to get better. I told you, like, King is responsible for making a man out of me in life. Like I've been through fire because this man won't pick Eddie Gordo and put an afro on him and be like, yeah, Carl, what's up? You can't beat me. Like, he's that goofball. And then he's funny. So you can't beat that, right? So that's why I said, oh, no. I'm going to learn. And then when I would start my come up and I was giving it, I fought all the abused kids, but like, yes, Cog is our hero. We're beating King. And I was like, yeah, you go get in the box. I'm in control tonight. He was like, oh God. So that's our history and stuff. Like, my history is generally the silent type, but I will rise to the occasion because I can't talk if I want to, but I tell you what, I got actually this wrong. There is specific characters that does bring it out of me. Usually, don't laugh, the beefier characters. Yeah. Like, if I pick Marduk, I might put him in some really uncomfortable prison outfit. Like, yeah, come here, girl. You gonna take this mount tackle. What's up, bro? Like, I could get silly and because sometimes we just want to have some fun with the homies, but I don't never initiate that with anybody I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So, but certain characters bring silliness out of me. I will say that. So that's my confession.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's why I asked, because I was thinking of Mecha Plankton in All-Star Brawl 2. Like, he says some wild shit, bro. Like, he's screaming all fight. Like, when you have like an up smash attack that he shoots out a chain and grabs them and like slams them down and throws them. Bro. And he'll always go like, stop jumping. Like, he just gets so, I just love it, bro. It's like he's talking for you.
To me, how you felt that way is when we used to play the wrestling games with Solve, and I used to take Chris Jericho. I'm like, come on, baby. Because he used to do the lion tamer and all that foolishness. Yes, so I get into the character. If the game is doing it, I will engage sometimes.
I love that. So yeah, it's the main thing I've really been playing. It's taken me away from, that's when you know you got something good. It's funny enough, it's what you said about like Starfield. Like, I got all this stuff that I want to play, but I want to start my Yakuza pilgrimage, but I'm like, man, I'm really enjoying Nick All-Star Brawl 2. So I've been playing a lot of that. On the offside, I've been playing Star Ocean, the second story arc. Really taking my time with this one. And
nice.
I love this game too. I love this game too, man. Like, the main thing I want to call out here, I'll leave the story and gameplay to the side, is the skill system. So there's this skill system where you can specialize in all sorts of things. I mean, it goes, I don't even think I fully get it to give you an in-depth breakdown right now. But what happens is you have all these skills like art, crafting, blacksmithing, penmanship, and so on and so forth. There's a long list, and you'll complete these missions and you'll get points that you can insert into all of these stats, and you'll just be able to craft all these items, and you can complete quests that way. You can go to do guild missions this way. And so it's just so in depth, and like each system piles on top of each other. It's a little overwhelming at first. And like I said, I don't have a full grip of it, but I am so impressed by this game, especially for the time period it was originally released in and what they've done with the remake. Like, it is a really unique title. And it's just got so much going on within it that I'm eating it all up. So I'm taking that as like bite-sized piece at a time, like 1-2 hour sessions, sometimes at night. And then been playing more Baldur's Gate 3. This game continues to be fantastic. Just about to enter Act 2.
Wow. Okay.
I thought I was going to finish up Act 1 this week, but I took a couple of days off from gaming to just like read a little bit and work on the sleep schedule a little bit. So I had to like pull out. So it did delay some late night gaming plans. But this will be done definitely by the end of the year. And
how we feeling?
I just got some of the backstory on Gale.
Okay.
I won't spoil any of it because, again, since we know when it's coming to Xbox, but I will say, like, these companions are so poetic. The way they are written, the way they speak, the way they're voiced, the script, it's like silky. It's buttery smooth, man. Just everything flows right. And then the context of these characters and what they've been through that led them to you and how you all come together, found it to be just like really unique, really interesting. And so this sort of shared mind flare issue you're all having.
Yeah, that's so cool.
It's awesome, but then they all have their own other personal issues, right? Like I talked about Karlak, who's this like pretty much demon with a machine heart, or Gale, like his side of the story. I'm like, you're what? Asterion's another one. This dude's doing some funky shit in my sleep, man. I don't like Asterion one bit. I don't like him one bit. He's pulling up when my eyes are I don't like him one bit. Yeah, right. I'm just waking up with like my eyes are like, yo, what are you doing, bro? So Asterion's way too up in my grill. But,
a little beefy situation.
Yeah. Lae'zel tried to sleep with me. I told her no.
Oh,
told her no. Okay, I just can't get down with that. Great voice actress though, but just can't get down with that. And Shadowheart, I haven't been able to use as much as I want to. She's really busted, but like I was an idiot. So when I first started playing, I brought Gale into the team. Okay. And I just got this weapon for Shadowheart, and I was stupidly figuring everything out with the menus again. And Gale's like, I need these magic items. And I gave him one of Shadowheart's weapons. And so I need to wait to get her a new weapon.
Yeah.
So yeah, unfortunately, she's taking a ride on the bench right now. And so we have a squad of myself, my friend. I'm an elf ranger. My friend is a druid. Nice. That has been a mean combo. And then we have Lae'zel, who's a fighter, and Karlak, who's a barbarian. So they're more like our front lines. Okay. And now that I've hit level 5, or I'm beyond level 5 now, you get an extra attack. So I was texting Locke about it because this is like Locke's favorite game of the year.
Locke goes hard.
So I always give him updates on Baldur's Gate 3. And I was for so long just so down on my build. I was like, man, I just don't like this elf ranger build, but I can't not play an elf in any fantasy game. I just can't. You said that.
It's a Skyrim.
And you unlock this extra attack, and I'm like, no, I'm back. Like this dude's. I just went from like the worst to one of the best. Like that's what I heard. All it needed was that extra shot from up high. So good. Nice. So my character's a lot more flexible now. You really feel like things are opening up. So yeah, Baldur's Gate 3, Star Ocean, Nick All-Star, Brawl are the games I am playing this week. We don't have any warm-up questions, Cog, because every question we really got this week, and I'm not exaggerating, was about the Game Awards. So I figured let's just go right into that. Let's talk about the Game Awards, the nominees, that whole situation surrounding it in our first item on the news. So here we go. The Game Awards has listed their annual nominees across all categories, and Xbox fans were met with a familiar sight as the company failed to crack the Game of the Year roster. The last time Xbox was in the conversation for Game of the Year was 2010, where Halo Reach was nominated alongside the likes of Red Dead Redemption 2, Call of Duty, Red Dead Redemption 1, Call of Duty Black Ops, God of War 3, and Mass Effect 2. That was during the Spike era of the Game Awards. Under the current format that has been running since 2014, Xbox hasn't been in the conversation a single time unless you account for Psychonauts 2, which Xbox oversaw for only part of Double Fine's development. The nominees for Game of the Year in 2023 are Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Starfield managed to get nominated for Best RPG of the Year, but is facing off against Final Fantasy XVI, Sea of Stars, Lies of P, and Baldur's Gate 3. Meanwhile, Hi-Fi Rush was nominated in 5 different categories: Best Art Direction, Best Score and Music, Best Audio Design, Innovation and Accessibility, and Best Action Game. Forza Motorsport is in the running for Innovation and Accessibility and Best Sports/Racing Game. The Game Awards airs on December 7th, where you can watch all of the madness unfold. So I want to start off personally, just general, before we get into the real nitty gritty of the Xbox side of things. I know one way or another, by the way, I've accepted my fate. Someone's going to drag us one direction or the other when it comes to the console.
We going to get dragged. Yeah.
So we're just going to talk as if it's just me and you alone in a room, just going back and forth as we always do. And I'm sure people will make of it what they will, but it is what it is. I want to start off generally, though. Alex Kilgore has the first write-in of what is many for this subject. Hey, Dukes, what's the biggest snub from the Game Awards? Mine is Hogleg. This game was absolutely incredible, got great scores and sold very well, but I feel like we all know why it wasn't even nominated for any awards. Love the show, guys, and hope you have a did they really put a remake as a nomination for Game of the Year kind of day. So there's just a ton of talking points to really leap off here, Cog. I want to give you the floor with what you thought the biggest snub was, whether it be in Game of the Year or RPG of the Year or soundtrack of the year or best ongoing game of the year, and so on and so on. What was the biggest snub at the Game Awards to you?
If I gotta be honest, I'm gonna surprise everyone. It's Hogwarts Legacy. I think that we have to be honest about the impact that game made. And listen, I understand it's a stacked year. I'm not just saying Game of the Year because again, my beloved Starfield did not make it, right? So that stung a little bit, but I understood. If I'm being fair, right? If I'm being the type of year this is, right? I knew it was a long shot making bets with Randall Thor and yourself, and I knew it, but I was just like, okay, in my mind, I think it was kind of like, okay, I didn't expect, which I learned a harsh lesson, the power of the remake, right? And with this panel, remakes are still valued really high. And for me, that's probably the only thing I'll dig in the sand. And I am not of the remake should be listed as a Game of the Year. I don't care how great it is. No disrespect to the people who made that experience. I know people love it. It's rated very high. But to me, it's like copying, homework. It's like someone already made a hit song and you just remixed it. like no disrespect. You got the greatest remix. You got the greatest bars, the hook, the beat is better. That's great. But there was an original outline that was a tracing that you use as your foundation. And I personally feel that should never overtake an original idea that came from scratch and was built out. That's just me. So I know a lot of people feel strongly about it, but I will die on that one. But to your initial question, with the snub, it's Hogwarts Legacy because, again, I know this is going to be a touchy subject. We're going to get dragged either way. But the reality of, people who state that there is no bias or there is no inherent issue with the way things are selected. I can point out a few key of them, and this is one of them. And I think that we have to admit the effects or controversy of the J.K. Rowling situation, is playing a factor here. To me, for that game, listen, do I expect it to win Game of the Year? Do I expect it to win RPG of the Year? Whatever. But for it to not be nominated in any category, to me, is a statement. That is a statement. That is an inherent statement that, hey, we are not, because of who the owner of the actual lore is, we are not going to include you. And where I have a problem is the developers themselves have come out and said, hey, we don't necessarily feel that way. In the game, I recall, shout out to my Tiger, there's a trans character in the game. Like, there were strides by the development student. I just feel like that team really got penalized in the political process. So I'll leave it here for now because I have more to say. But to your initial question, yeah, that's probably the biggest snub I see as far as not one nomination for that game. I thought was quite startling.
I completely agree. I think that was definitely a deliberate statement by Games Media, and because it's not about Game of the Year. I don't. When I played at Hogwarts Legacy, I think for Harry Potter fans, like, I totally get why I would be in their Game of the Year conversation. I totally respect that. And a lot of the energy and passion that comes from this is like, this is the chance for people to have the games that they love represented, right? And I find it surprising, like, it wasn't in action. Best action games that were nominated was Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon, Dead Island 2, Ghost Runner 2, Hi-Fi Rush, Remnant 2. And it's not to take away from other games, but
Correct.
It's not even in Best Action Adventure where Alan Wake 2, Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which, as I love Jedi Survivor, that game was fucking broken at launch for many people, and Tears of the Kingdom. I'm just surprised that it couldn't even crack those. Best RPG is a really tight category this time around, so I get why it probably didn't make its way in there. But yeah, man, I just feel like this was more of a deliberate statement than anything, because that game was way too popular and way too good in certain areas. Even if I wasn't in love with it, you can just recognize when something's great, to not crack the list anywhere. So yeah, that was definitely, to me, received as like a deliberate statement. And for those who want to know just where I stand personally on like the voting process, like, I've been to a number of industry events. I'm sure Cog can attest to the same. Like, I've not even overheard, like, I've seen the conversations among people in the industry, and it's even admitted widely on like podcasts and various video forums. Like a lot of these people who are voting in the Game Awards are very open that they don't think twice about it. They're just like, yeah, it's kind of like a whatever thing, and they just vote. And I think part of the problem here with the representation, and Cog, you sent me a laundry list of links of many people across the industry, outspoken, from developers to people working in the press to content creators and so on and so forth, about how many. It's really not about, even though we'll get into the thick of the conversation with Game of the Year, it's really not about that. It's about how much has been drastically overlooked and how tuned out the people who are voting and representing the medium are. That's the problem. And I think, I don't give a fuck who you are. I think whether you're listening to this as a massive PlayStation fan looking to get us, or you're listening to this as an Xbox fan looking for us to rep and cap for Starfield constantly, I think we can all agree that that's the big problem here. Okay, whether it ends up that your delightful game is represented or not is beyond the point. It's that the people voting are not wholeheartedly invested in representing the medium. That is the problem right there. And so until that's ironed out, this is going to continue to happen.
Yes.
Cog, you sent me a bunch of examples here.
Mm-hmm.
I'll bring some up here.
Yeah, please.
There was one in particular that stood out to me beyond the games, that was an esports coach who literally was voted for best esports coach of the year and hadn't even coached.
Bruh.
Wasn't even involved in the thick of things. Sea of Thieves was neglected for best ongoing game of the year. Alongside Halo Infinite, I know they're both Xbox games, but I mean, I don't think you can deny that Sea of Thieves has kept a vibrant community afloat for a while. Mm-hmm. Josh Sawyer was annoyed in particular with where the voting deadline is, because here's why the voting deadline is November 15th. This show is a wolf in sheep's clothing, right? This show is absolutely more about marketing than awards. And it's why I tell people that if you're looking for awards to be taken seriously, look at the DICE Awards. Look at maybe the Golden Joystick Awards. Look at those. Those are taken a lot more seriously than what Jeff's doing here. The reason people show up in the numbers that he pops up every single year for the Game Awards is because we want to know what fucking game is getting announced.
Right,
that's what people mostly care about. Okay? And that's why, and because those numbers are so high and people are showing up in mass, I think there's a lot of loud energy surrounding the Game Awards and what's getting represented and what's not. But I also say that because I just feel, again, there's this continued lack of care and people are getting fed up with it. And there has to be some degree of change. The strategy category was woefully underrepresented. There was, let me find the tweet here. I believe it was this individual here, Len or Till Folk Vang, who the strategy sim entries are Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp, City Skylines 2. Think about that.
What are we doing? Company
of Heroes 3, Fire Emblem Engage, Pikmin 4. Like, what is that list? City Skylines 2. You want to talk about phoning it in? That's one of the most broken games of the year. We covered extensively on Duke. We talked about before launch, they said that it's not ready to go. They literally openly admit it's not ready to go. And these fuckers are like, hey, I've heard of that. Yeah, put that shit on the list. So whatever.
So what does that tell you? What does that infer?
You don't care. I mean, unless I'm missing something, but go ahead.
I think it's deeper. And again, I know I'm going to probably get, dragged for it, but it shows that they don't play these genres. And what my issue is that this award show, again, listen, let me be clear. This is where I stand. I love that it exists. We need our Oscars. We need our celebration of games. But if we're going to do this, we have to do this correctly. And we have to celebrate genres. And just because what it shows me, this panel, whoever is making these decisions, do not play these other style of games, because these type of nominations are ill-informed, right? It literally exposes. So I think one of ongoing game, best ongoing game, and I love me some Cyberpunk. Why is this here as an expansion game to an existing game? Best along the likes of Apex Legends and Fortnite and Genshin Impact. Why is Cyberpunk there? Again,
it was not marketed as a live service game. It's a fucking broken game that got patched.
Exactly. What are we doing? So again, people who like to say, oh no, guys are just upset because I just want things to be really voted on correctly. And what it shows me, and Jaffe had a great tweet, I think I sent it to you as well, is that we have to push back on the process, because it's not just fanboys now. Developers are saying it. Media pundits are saying it. You saw Matt Piscatella out here talking about why is Baldur's Gate not nominated as an indie when it is an indie? And I think
Dave
Greg
the
Miller,
Diver.
yeah, Dave the Diver's there, and Greg the Miller was on. So this is not a fanboy. This is a process issue, and it's still all over the place. So while I'm happy that exists, I am going to be upset when, shout out to my man, Colin had him on, Luke Bernard. He had a game about the Holocaust that was free on PlayStation, Xbox, like, and he was like, what do I have to do? Like, there's certain people to the point where it's like, what do I have to do? So this is the last part I'll say. If your strategy, fighting, racing, turn-based, live service, multiplayer, it's going to be uphill for you. Because based on
I would even argue some of the more better known quality categories. I'll say that for best RPG, the fact that Final Fantasy 16 is nominated, this is not a knock at the game.
I know where you go.
It is not a knock at the game. This game's not an RPG.
Go on.
It is not an RPG. It is not an RPG. You look at the systems in that game and you tell me where the role playing is. Well, because there's a skill system where you put little skill points in and you unlock new moves. That is more of an action game than an RPG through and through. There are you barely change out equipment. This game is not an RPG. And I don't know off the top of my head what you throw in there otherwise, but Final Fantasy 16 is an RPG by name alone because the whole series is built off of that.
Right.
But Final Fantasy 15 is more of an RPG than 16. That's a fact. And that's what I'm talking about is the fundamental, that's what you were talking about, is the fundamental understanding of even the core, like, better known categories. Everything's an RPG nowadays. And even that was fundamentally misunderstood. And I don't want to hear from anybody at all. I know we said we were talking in the room, but I'll break the room. I'll break the glass for a moment here. I'll yell out the window. I don't want to hear from anybody that we're just saying it this year. We have been saying this for years. It's not my fault if you didn't watch Ham Radio when I was doing a different podcast for years. I've been saying this for years, that there's been a fundamental lack of understanding. It's now people are starting to realize, and like you said, Cog, people in the industry are starting to speak up. Jeff's fucking awful response of like, yeah, it's always tough. Some people get snubbed. Don't give us this bullshit middle of the road fucking answer when you have incompetent people voting on the awards. It's the process. It's broken. It's not, tough year, right? Yes, tough year. That was part of the excitement. That's why the energy is so high this time, because people are like we had the best year in gaming. Facts. And you had for best community support Bungie with Destiny 2.
I'm a Destiny fan. What the hell is Bungie doing up on there? Like, what are we doing? Like, you've exposed yourself, man, for being completely out of touch. And I'm a Destiny fan telling you this is wrong. My game that I love should not be there. I'm telling you. So again, bro, it was so bad. I saw the Destiny developers that got laid off. They was like, it's very interesting. Get excitement when letting off half the comms team and the people who actually talk to the community. Bro, it's blood in these streets. And what I'm hoping, I know I'm getting a little emotional, but what I'm hoping for is, because, bro, I just love people. I love games and I love developers getting the credit. And nothing pains me more than a genre or a team that put out, and it's not about winning. It's about the nomination in the correct category. Proof that the panels are playing these games. And if you're not playing those type of games, that's cool. Get people in that are, and let them vote on them. And let them tell me what the fighting game and the strategy game of the year. Let me tell them what the are. Like, because with this, we got to be serious. Like, some of this is really comical, and it exposed them this year. And I'm glad that it's not just about fanboys this year. It's about the industry saying, hey, we got to step this up, because this is not good for the health of it if we're going to continue to do an award show.
For me, biggest snub, my taste divert from others for sure, but I found the biggest snub to be Octopath Traveler 2.
Oh, I forgot.
The fact that, like, that would be to me in place of Final Fantasy 16. But the reality is, and I don't mean to go back on the soapbox so quickly, but like, no one's playing games like Octopath Traveler 2. And it's the same thing that that person was saying about strategy games. Like, no one's just playing these types of games. Like, it's getting to the point now where games are growing and coming out at such a rapid pace that you can't have the same 5 names voting on everything, because they're just shooting from the hip constantly. You're putting them in a spot to fail. We need committees to represent various categories at this point, because there's so much coming out. The games are coming out at a torrid pace. No one can keep up. And so the fact that Octopath got overlooked for music, that it got overlooked for RPG.
Jesus.
Fucking crazy to me.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy to me.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
We can go on and on, wax poetic about the broken process here. I know a lot of our audience wants to talk about the Xbox angle of things for sure. And I'm sure we do too. So we got Found Waldo who wrote in, Dear the Snubbed Dukes, this week we saw the Game Award nominations, and as a, in capital letters, huge surprise, Starfield was snubbed for Game of the Year nomination. This is the 10th straight year that Xbox has been excluded from the prestigious award. I think it's time we have a serious conversation on media bias against Xbox as a whole. Over the years, we have seen Gears 5 at an 84 get snubbed in 2018, even though it was rated higher than Death Stranding, which got an 82, which was nominated and losing out to RE2 Remake. Forza Horizon getting snubbed despite each release being a gaming marvel. And now Starfield, the much anticipated Bethesda RPG, which sold gangbusters, lost out to RE4 Remake, emphasis on remake. Did the Dukes think that this year's Game Awards finally show the media bias against Xbox, or should we concede that Xbox has not released a Game of the Year caliber video game in the year of Titan level releases? Thanks, Dukes, and have a damn, it's been 10 years since Xbox had a Game of the Year nomination kind of day. Now, look, I want to push back immediately and just say that a lot of you want Xbox to get the pity nom, and no one should want that. No one should want Xbox to get a pity nomination. I will say this, though. The real snub to me in Game of the Year, if I were to pick one out, I agree with the idea that Resident Evil 4 Remake probably shouldn't be there now because it's a bad game. But look, like, y'all know my love for Dead Space Remake. I would not have voted that as Game of the Year. It would be my personal YouTube list of favorite games of the year. But if I am voting on a committee, I am not looking at a game that had a blueprint to follow from top to bottom. I know it takes effort. I know it's not easy, but those games should not be in the conversation, right? I completely agree with what people have been saying about that. So that slot opens up, in my opinion. I'm not going to sit here and debate hardcore on Mario Wonder. Let's talk about what I think is the easy removal, which is Resident Evil 4 Remake. And maybe some people disagree, but if I pluck that out, to me, the real snub, Hi-Fi Rush. And I don't, again, breaking the glass real quick, I don't want to hear that we're saying that because now we're moving the goalpost. Oh, Starfield, man. Starfield, that was the one that was supposed to be Game of the Year. I'll talk about the built-up expectations versus what was delivered. But last week, the week before, Cog and I sat down. We talked honestly about what would be nominated. I said, honestly, I feel like with the division among the games media and consumers on Starfield and its conversation getting soured, I don't feel like it's going to be up to snuff compared to the rest of the roster. Maybe in a different year, yes. I think if Xbox is going to get a nom, it would be Hi-Fi Rush. That didn't crack the list. To me, if I were to pick a Game of the Year style snub, something that's going to be probably in my top 5, it would be Hi-Fi Rush. I look at that game as a new IP. I look at a studio going against its usual DNA. I look at the design of the game. I look at the way it was released. I know one thing that Found Waldo you've leaned into here is sales. I'm going to be real. None of that should matter. We don't need, it doesn't matter how great a game did financially. That's why it doesn't matter that Hogwarts Legacy didn't get nominated in the sense that that was the best selling game of the year.
Oh yeah, by far, yeah.
Yeah, by far. And so to me, I feel like Hi-Fi Rush embodied everything that people wanted from an Xbox Game Studios game, like go more in the Japanese direction, have more fun with it. They did everything right. And that one didn't get nominated. And that one to me was crazy because that seemed like the industry sort of, Ben said this, and I mentioned this in my video and I'll mention it again. It definitely felt like the game the industry loved to go, hey, Hi-Fi Rush, man, what a special game, but no one's really like playing it. No one's really like, it was the game that was fun to love.
Right.
And once he planted that seed in my head by when I saw his tweet, I was like, and by the way, this is before any nominations, so don't drag the mayor.
Yeah, we're not dragging the mayor. Salute.
But it's so true. Because I was like, this is a game that had all the earmarks for success. And I wouldn't even say it was recency bias because a lot of games that were nominated, Tears of the Kingdom, Resident Evil 4, top of the year. So I think it's a game that just kind of got overlooked, but I'll offer this and then pass it to you. One thing people got to remember is we kind of have this, I feel, runaway game of the year for many people in Baldur's Gate 3. And I would agree with that. When the ballots come in, I don't know how they're counted up, but my thought process is like you could have 80 votes for Baldur's Gate 3. And then maybe there's 15 for Tears of the Kingdom. And then there's 12 for Spider-Man 2. And so it could just be a really small margin between all these games. And it's possible that Hi-Fi Rush missed out on like by 2, 3,
Right.
5.
It's possible it could be number 7, right?
Yeah, it's possible it could have been just literally on the fringe, one vote off. We'll never know. And I would love to see the numbers.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I would love to see that.
And if Jeff really wants to open up the process and the conversation.
I would love to hear about that.
Show us the ballots. Show us when the game of the year is decided. Here's how it was voted. To show, because that gives it more than, it's just an award, right? It shows how close it was. Like, wow, competitive year, or like, wow, Baldur's Gate 3 really ran away with it.
Right,
I think that type of information is important. But if you were to ask me the snub of the year, I would say probably Hi-Fi Rush. Okay. That would be my pick next to Octopath Traveler 2. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, Cog, what do you think about what Waldo's saying here? And some of our other members of the audience wrote in with similar sentiment. Is Xbox being overlooked? Is it deliberate? Are they not delivering? Especially with you loving Starfield. We loved Hi-Fi Rush.
Oh my God, yes.
Do you think this was their year to get the nom? It doesn't matter that much at the end of the day.
I thought they would get the nom. I'll be honest. That's why I made bets. And it didn't go my way, unfortunately. But look, this year, in my heart of hearts, I knew it was tough. And it's just I'm not talking about any bias or anything like that. If I had to be objective based on patterns, I'm looking at patterns and how they process things, right? And generally the pattern is remakes will be nominated, right? I thought that this might be the year because either it's so contentious that it's going to get in, whether it be my beloved Starfield or Hi-Fi Rush, or it's just so crazy. This might be the first year they expand it, right? And that was part of the discussion. Like, maybe they expanded this year, but they stuck with the 6, right? Where I'm with Fine Waldo, though, I got to ride for him on this. My frustration really does lie with Forza Horizon 5.
Yeah, we talked about that last year.
I guess the reason being is this, because this is how I look at the criteria. I've had this discussion with Rand and a few other friends of mine, which is if we're looking at the people who review and these games, right, and the Metacritic score, right, and we're going from the highly critically acclaimed game, that year, Forza Horizon 5 was in that 90 plus kind of energy, right? It was what was critically acclaimed by the reviewers, right? So to see it not nominated for it, right? To me, it showed, okay, we don't A, play that genre, or B, don't consider that genre game of the year worthy. Right. Mm-hmm. So again, I'm not going to get too crazy here with bias and all that other stuff, but I will say there are inconsistencies and I just need that explained to me, because the same way, this is how I looked at it. I remember in my mind, like the only thing that can win game of the year, strong narrative, kind of hashtag just one energy. Those have been the consistent winners. Right. So I'm like, okay, that's the template. That's the formula that generally wins. Now, where they surprised me, even though I didn't agree with the one it won this year, but I was happy for what it represented, was Overwatch. I'm like, okay, I'm not an Overwatch guy. Mm-hmm. I probably wouldn't have went that direction, but there's a part of me that's happy it won because it wasn't the template. It was the most popular. It was highly rated, and it was a fun game. I'll never take that away from Overwatch. And it didn't have the tropes, the narrative. Oh my God, cinematic, slow energy, just one. None of that. Fun team-based shooter that changed the game. Right. So in that respect, I'm like, okay, we have a game that was a racing game that was highly rated, that people who didn't play racing games was like, yo, I ain't going for it. And it just threw me off that it wasn't there. So that's where the inconsistencies lie. And I just would like to see how that process is. That's what it is. So I understand the realm of the Dukes, right? I understand the frustration because what it is, how they feel, I'm just trying to internalize it for people like, oh, these are just big babies. They're just confused as to why that didn't get there. And also what Josh Schroyer said, there's a problem also with the cutoff dates and when the nominations happen. Right. That's also a big, because he's like, yo, what happened to Pendleman? And we kind of made it, not saying it's going to
could have been easily been in the running for like best narrative last year.
Exactly. So again, to me, I'm just going to be brutally honest, and I'm probably get killed for this. It just shows me that they don't play these games and they just play specific games. And that's okay. We all got our favorites, but please get in the people who play all the genres that you don't, so that we could get proper representation. Because you did good with Overwatch. I thought that was okay. That's a statement anybody legit could win. I'm going to be honest. There's a part of me, Maddie, I'm not going to lie to you, that does feel if you don't fit a certain genre, it's going to be hard for you. I'm going to be brutally honest now. I don't feel, and I've had this conversation with Addict, I don't feel a game like XCOM, as great as it was, if it came out XCOM 3, 95 Metacritic, I don't think it could win. I really don't. That's how I feel. That's why I'm pulling for like a Baldur's Gate.
You think, I was going to say, do you think Baldur's Gate 3, if it didn't have that fanfare, let's say it came out and it reviewed as it would have, absolutely, because Larian's never missed. So let's say it gets it's like 95 and it does not light the world on fire in the terms of sales and scuttlebutt. Do you think it's getting the nominations? Because I don't think it would. I don't think it would, because they were killing it with Divinity Original Sin 2. They were killing it with Divinity Original Sin 1. So it wasn't getting nominated then. So what's the difference here?
I agree.
The noise it's made.
I think it's the noise. It's unstoppable noise. Then we have, the little engine that could, right? Fighting against that, right? And I mean, we gotta take that away from Baldur's Gate's an amazing game, but it galvanized people to at least try the genre. I just refuse to believe that turn-based games prior to that could never be that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so again, it just shows me that this one was the anomaly, but it really doesn't happen because people don't play those type of games. That's just how I feel, man. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna get killed for this, but that's how I honestly feel that way.
No, last year's Game of the Year nominees were Elden Ring, A Plague Tale Requiem, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Stray, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I've not played Horizon Forbidden West, but I feel like everything here was a pretty fair nominee except Stray. I feel like Stray was just like a gimme, and I definitely think that's where it's like Forza's spot, right?
Right, that's what people felt.
That's Forza's spot, and so I think you're on to something, and it's definitely a sentiment that's shared around the community that there are certain games that are played in mass and certain games that aren't. And one thing Stray had was a lot of social media attention, and I do think, as I was saying at the beginning, that's a major driving factor in this, and it's why this is more marketing than anything. This award show has always been that, and I think just people are waking up to that reality as they're seeing more and more ridiculous, off-putting nods. And it's tough to talk about it like here on an Xbox show, because I get it. Like, we're representing the brand that's been snubbed a lot. The big games came out, and we didn't crack the list. We're pissed.
Look at these messy guys.
Let's drag the Game Awards. But like, that's where I hope like the more consistent audience does have our back and does get us on this, because I know we've been on top of this for years, and we talked about this extensively. It was like back-to-back years of the same show. Like, wow, Forza Horizon 5 didn't get nominated, and it was like a 92. What does Xbox have to do to crack the list? And we're like, I don't know. Like, it's people aren't really playing it, I guess, right? And so it's happening here again. And
last point,
and I don't think it's an anti-Xbox bias, but I agree with Cog. It comes down to games that are played, and I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not trying to punt it to next year, but what's a game that fits the mold? Hellblade.
Yes.
Hellblade probably has the best chance of cracking the list, knowing that what we know now, than anything in the Xbox roster. Like Avowed, I don't know. I don't think so anymore. South of Midnight, that art style? No, I don't think so. Like Hellblade, I think cracks that list.
And the reason why I got to jump on this is because Chris Reagan said it best. We were at, I think it was the most overrated game of all time. And Reagan, he had Last of Us, right? And he went in and he wasn't like super, he was funny.
First one?
Bro, he went in.
Wow.
And he was just like, but part of his
I didn't catch that. Damn.
It was funny, but part of his argument was that as a result of how great The Last of Us is, I think The Last of Us is not overrated. I think The Last of Us is amazing, right? That's just me. But the point he made that did resonate with me is, as a result of the greatness that is The Last of Us, it has now created the template. It is the Just One template, where people only accept this as the template of greatness. There is nothing outside of this box that is now valued just as high. And I think that's where we have to change our thinking here. There are other great games that don't follow Just One, that are amazing games that people have not played, because they are being kind of formulated that this is the pillar of greatness and only this. Right. And that's the issue that I think that we have to look at. And the last point I'll say, and I'm going to get in trouble, but I got to be honest. I'm not trying to start. I'm always going to speak how I feel. And if we're not going to say that there's no if we're going to admit with Hogwarts Legacy that there were potentially inherent bias against this game, that it will not be nominated on any category. Is it too far to believe that there is inherent bias against genres? Is it too far of a stretch? Am I taking this too far? And again, LSM, Rem and the Dukes, y'all can please just constructively come at me. You know what I'm saying? Just don't, be disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm being honest, I want to hear the feedback. Maybe like, oh, nah, you're bugging, bro. It ain't that deep or whatever, and give me examples. And I'm willing to take the feedback. I'm just telling you how I feel. This is nothing to do with Xbox. I am a fan of XCOM. I am a fan of Tekken, right? There is a part of COG that feels no matter how great those games are, they will never win Game of the Year. And help me shake this feeling. Help me understand, COG, it's not like that. That's, again, with this particular Game Awards. And again, I'm not trying to trash it. It needs to exist, but we need to improve because I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to feel that my beloved games can't ever get I love gaming and I love developers. These developers need to be celebrated. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to see Sifu in the best fighting game category again.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Bro, I don't want to see that. That's disrespectful to the FGC. Like, it just is. So it's just
disrespectful to the devs who we didn't make a fighting game.
And Sifu is my game, but please put you in action adventure where you're supposed to be, or indie or whatever. I don't know what we consider Soul Clap or whatever. Maybe I'm wrong there. Whatever they're supposed to be, please put them in that. Stop moving things around either because you don't have an understanding or you don't play those. That's it. Soapbox over. I would love the constructive feedback because, again, I'm all for learning from this, getting corrected. If people say, oh, this is the process, COG, I'm all for it. I just want to shake this feeling that I have.
No, I hear you completely. I'm trying to think if there's anything else we can add on to this before we spin our wheels too long here. Is there anything else that's on your mind, COG? We talked about best ongoing game.
Yeah, we talked about that.
We talked about the biggest snubs. We talked about the Xbox side of things. So do you want to move on from this? Do you feel like you've said your piece?
I think we pretty much nailed. There's no need to beat a dead horse. Again, I'll be there. I'll be watching. I'm not boycotting. Oh, okay, let's go. What you got?
Sorry, no, I forgot. I didn't. I wanted to meet our promise on Starfield.
Yes. Yes. We were talking about it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry. Starfield. Expectations, right? Start at the top of the year. Be honest with ourselves. Look ourselves in the mirrors. This has to be, low 90s. This has to be great. High 80s at the least. Has to be Xbox's winner. Has to be the Game of the Year appearance, right? That was the community pressure. That was the expectation going into launch. Like, you've given this, following the delay, right? We're coming hot off the season where Starfield was supposed to come out in 2022. Okay, you got another full year. You got to show out. The developer direct's there. One of the most honest, transparent viewings of a video game ever. Yeah, still excellent. Whew. And it's like, because what you saw was exactly what you got. Gene Park said that. And it's so true. He's like, what you saw is literally what you got. Mm-hmm. And everyone was like, okay, I'm feeling confident about this. The game comes out, and immediately upon reviews, right, I think it was a lot more divisive than people expected. You had your high highs, like, it's a 10, it's a 10. It's really good, it's a 9. And then you had like your 7s. It was a lot more all over the place. And right there, it kind of sat in, okay, this isn't going to be the one that cracks the 90s for Xbox like they need to. It's just way too up and down of an experience. And I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of those respective reviews. We've already done that on older episodes of The Defining Duke. If you want to go ahead and check those out, there's an episode literally labeled around that. So if you want to see us have that conversation on why they may have been reviewed higher or lower and where we fall on it, we talk about that extensively there. So that's available for you. So we're talking about how it delivered versus the expectations, right? And the expectations were that Starfield was going to be in the Game of the Year running.
Right.
It ends up being delivered, right? It has its problems. A lot of people complaining, if I were to note major community issues, as I've seen as someone who covers Starfield a lot, loading screens. It's been about the lack of exploration that brings BGS games to that new height. Many people still saying choice and consequence in this game doesn't exist. I will push back on that because it's in a segmented manner. Like, the choice and consequence impacts that particular quest line, but it's not going to impact like the main quest line, for example. But that's still choice and consequence, at least to my understanding. But I don't know. Someone out there might have a better understanding of it than I. But those are kind of like the main things for people. And I definitely think part of the impact of this game was hurt by very competitive, high quality products, Phantom Liberty, Baldur's Gate 3. This is not to put Starfield in this, oh, poor Todd position. We're taking an honest, genuine look at the situation of what the expectations were versus community-wise. And really, it's less about our opinion. We're not voting on the ballot, but what the opinions of others are and how we saw it was too up and down. And that's where we read the tea leaves and said, yeah, it's probably not going to get the nomination. Right now, I think Starfield's at like an 85, which is still excellent, but there's no denying that it was, people thought it would be higher. People thought that this would be like the pinnacle of excellence because this was the game that Xbox was building the brand around. They were marketing towards it and everything like that. So expectations were naturally sky high. Cog, is it a disappointment that Starfield is now not on the Game of the Year list? Has Xbox failed in that way? And I know you're going to have your naturally corporate Cog approach, which I know the answer to this one, but I guess as a fan, how do you look at it too?
I mean, I'm a fan of the game, absolutely. I'll be lying if I would feel a little smidge of disappointment that it didn't make it. It's personally my game of the year. I play this thing and I still play it to this day. My goal is 1,000 gamer score. I'm close to 750, 800 right now. I still play it religiously. I'm a big music guy, so I'm shocked. I mean, I'm a little sad that, Einon and the team didn't get anything there, RPG. Look, I knew coming in it was going to be tough. Like everything you said in conjunction with the type of year it was. And I had to look objective and say, Cog, this is the perfect type of game for you. Sci-fi, Bethesda, classic storylines, factions, the whole bit. This is your style of game, but take your bias out of it, right? Bro, it's rough in these streets this year, right? It's rough in these streets. We got to be honest, right? So I knew there was a chance that it couldn't. Again, it goes back to the remake thing. I'm not going to retread and beat a dead horse there as to where I think it is. But to your point, I have to also be honest. God, Maddie's got a good point. Even if Resident Evil wasn't there, right? Maybe it's our fellow, jam out man who
Chai
took the year by storm, 808 and the crew, right? And it was more critically loved than Starfield if we're going by the review system, if that's all we're going by. Now, if we're going where I go by the impact, right? And how much people are playing in the emergent events and things that I love in gaming, of course. But yeah, I think that's fair. I think as far as your final question, look, Xbox at this point don't let them fool you. They want a Game of the Year contender. But I think at this point, they are happy that the game is doing well. The metrics are phenomenal internally. Don't let anyone fool you to saying that this game is a failure. And oh, by the way, we keep forgetting that this game won NPD, right? So internally, corporate Cog and number, they're like, yo, all right. We got the engagement. It is exceeded everything in house. Todd, you good. Now, where I feel for is, obviously Todd and Bethesda and internally, they may want metrics. I don't know. And last point I'll say is, sometimes some of this Metacritic, I don't know how Bethesda work. You can correct me, but I know with other studios, sometimes this Metacritic is tied to bonuses and financials. Or we don't
think it
know.
Works like that anymore. Since
so that's out. Okay, cool.
At least for Bethesda.
Thank you for correcting me there.
Though. I don't know. I
remember hearing something, again, correct me if I'm wrong, LSM fam, with, whether maybe Sony on the Sony side kind of really valued the Metacritic of a game. I remember reading that somewhere. I correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, enough of that. Short answer, Microsoft is fine. Long answer, they do want one, though. Don't let them fool you because they make statements like, we always got to work a little bit twice as hard as everyone else. Not that it's woe is me for the corporation, but they know they have to earn the trust back from the mainstream, right? And I think the frustration from the Xbox gamer is like, hey, there's good games here, man. Like, there's good games. Like, I think it's just like, man, what is it going to take kind of a feel? And I do empathize with that. There's a part of me, I'm not going to lie and say that dudes are completely off base, but now when you attack Jeff and you being disrespectful and now you going after devs and then you doing all this, I'm never going to co-sign that because now it makes us look crazy. It makes us look wild, savage, barbarian. Like I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at with it. I knew this was gonna be a spicy week. Emotions are high.
100%. And I think the only thing I can really add to that, because it's really well said, is with Starfield, yeah, there's no doubt there's a little bit of disappointment. It didn't make the list if your Xbox even. I think, there was a hope that maybe it made that list. And when you look at the list here, Mario Bros. Wonder, I only look at it with a little bit of a skeptical eye, because I think to myself, as someone who's played the game, I'm like, if this was any other publisher, I wonder if it gets to the nom, right? I know Mario has legacy and therefore it goes a longer way. And I do feel like Spider-Man 2 is someone who really liked the game. I've definitely been critical of it. That game is super buggy, and I feel like if that were any other release, it would have definitely been dragged a lot more. But Insomniac's pedigree picked them up. So it goes, I say that not to drag, although it will be received that way.
Yeah.
It makes me raise an eyebrow, but it also speaks to the importance of pedigree.
Absolutely.
That you make a type of game, you do it well consistently enough, and you earn yourself into these spots. And in my eyes, I think Xbox has done a really great job at that, but clearly it's not been enough. And when it comes to something like Starfield, that's the one where I don't want to sound repetitive because I've already kind of said it. But yeah, I just feel as the dust began to settle and you saw all the individual outlets going high or low, it was just really up and down. It was very clear to me, like it's very, in a year like this where you have so many consistent 90 pluses, that it was tough for me to imagine Starfield was going to crack that list with how many back and forth opinions on it that the game had, not even from the core gaming community, especially when there were games that you were thinking of leading into it, like Sea of Stars. Like there's usually the indie darling that kind of cracked the list. Didn't happen this year. So there's a lot of snubs. And I mean, this goes into, if you want to take it a step further, the way review scores are handled. I think about how, those are kind of the quick metric for like, how good is a game? And my game of the year is Lies of P, which sits at an 80. It's like a point away from being in the 7s. And most people would say a 7 is not your game of the year. And I would never call that game an 8 any fucking day of the week. So again, it's a reminder to people to, number one, don't let these award shows steal your joy from gaming, right? It's a great year for games. Everyone won this year. Whatever side of the fence you were on, if you ride one individually or you ride them all, everyone won this year. Nintendo won, PlayStation won, and so did Xbox. Everyone got great games exclusively. Everyone got great games third party. We all won. But I also get the importance of representation, and I can only really co-sign what Cog said, which is yes, corporate-wise, they're looking at their money, looking at the bank account, looking at the engagement, looking at the player base, at least on Xbox, and go like, yeah, we're fine. Who gives a shit? But there's no doubt that like they want that moment. They want that moment where they take the gold home. Absolutely. And that's the other thing is that I wonder with Starfield's up and down reception, if even if it got nominated, like we're again, this is where I talked about with Waldo's write-in about kind of fighting for the Xbox Pity Award. Like you want them to win, if anything. Absolutely. Right. And in this type of year, I don't know if, I mean, Starfield's not my game of the year. Like it wouldn't have won, but maybe an Xbox first party studio game is a cut above the rest. And that's what you want to sort of be the template, the representation, back to what Chris had said. And that would move them forward. But no doubt that if you're talking about through the Spike and Jeff Keighley era of the Game Awards, missing the Game of the Year nomination every year since Halo Reach, that's a tough pill to swallow. And if you're Xbox, look in the mirror and find out how to do better, right?
Right. And last point, in fairness to Xbox, counterpoint also, they've had games that rated high. Gears 5 rated high, Psychonauts 2 rated high. So
Psychonauts 2 was nominated. So that's like the technicality, right? Like that was nominated for Game of the Year, rightfully so. I fucking love that game. Right. But it's like, that's where we had the conversation that year about like, is it really an Xbox win? Is it really? That's the thing. That's what it's been, right? So we've had this conversation 3 years in the running. As I've said to the audience, I hope people don't think we're just reacting because Starfield, the big game, missed. It's been years of this type of stuff just building up, and it's why there's such an explosion this year. Sorry, continue.
No. I get it. I I do understand the sentiment. That's all I'm saying, because I think that for people who play on the platform, they say, hey, man, Pentiment was a great game. Grounded was a great game. Psychonauts 2 is a great game. They won Publisher of the Year in 2021. So I get the who the father is and who the mother is stuff. I get it. But if it's on the platform, I guess that's where, look, we got to be honest. There is a slight powder keg building with the fanboys. You know what I'm saying? And they're going to be, dotting the I's and crossing the T's when they feel something ain't going on. I'm not trying to perpetuate that. I'm just trying to, I do empathize with people who play on the Xbox platform primarily
100%.
To try to make it seem that they have to do better, as if there's this desert of no good games.
Still got the Xbox One stink, even though it's much better. And I agree with that.
Exactly. I want to dead that narrative, because that is not true. There is a ton of great games to play, but they don't fit the template yet, right? So again, Microsoft Flight Simulator, Age of Empires, right? These are those type of games, great games, but they're not just correlating to seeing these type of critically acclaimed in the awards yet. And I just hope from a genre perspective that changes. That's it. That's the only bias cog will stand on. I do feel there is genre bias because of the process of the panel and the way they're choosing their nominations. That's what I take umbrage in.
Sure. And I agree entirely with that. Because they all kind of share a similar look and feel, don't they, outside of Mario?
Like, take, for example, bro, do you in your heart ever think, and let's just say critically acclaimed Danganronpa new joint come out and it's a 94 Metacritic. Do you honestly feel Danganronpa got a shot?
Cold day in hell when that happened. But
exactly. Yeah. We should never feel that way, though, because we should be like, yo, if it was that year, like Danganronpa, whatever, for the new joint, and it's critically acclaimed, and it should have a shot. That's all I'm trying to say. It should have a shot, or at least in the genres that it existed, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And for the record, the game that I spoke most about, which was, I thought, snubbed, which was
Octo.
No, not Octopath. Octopath was in like the mid 80s too, but Hi-Fi Rush was in 89.
Oh yeah, that's right.
1 point off.
Absolutely.
And honestly, I think that was the game that it was either that or it was Starfield. Metro reviewed one of these two games.
Yeah.
And they docked a point off of one of Xbox's games because they said that they don't release enough games, so hopefully this will teach them a lot. I'm just like, are you fucking dumb?
What
like, are you
have to do?
Yeah. Like, that's the type of shit I'm talking about, where it's like there is media bias at times.
That's what I'm trying to say, guys. Like come on.
Ridiculous.
I don't think guys, I had this conversation with friends. I don't think guys are in the room twiddling their mister like, this is how we're going to screw Xbox today. I don't think that happens. Right? I just think dudes don't play on Xbox or don't play genres. I just think that's what listen, we had Colin in the one of the crossovers, and he said it beautifully. He said, look, I love PlayStation 3 during the dark times at IGN when I was working there, and they would come up, with these quirky games, and I would love them. But he said, look, at the time, right, the 360 was the zeitgeist. He said everyone in the office had a 360. Right. So he had an appreciation for these games that maybe not everybody else was playing based on what we do have to understand humans are imperfect. Yeah. Like I have biases. I am guilty. Right. We all do. So to say that it doesn't exist and people are completely out of pocket, I don't stand on that. But I also don't stand on the twirling mustache. That's how we gonna get Phil now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going there either. You know what I'm saying? But I think there's a healthy middle that we can look at as far as process. That's what I'll stand on.
Agreed. Let's move on. We got more news here. Number 2. Modern Warfare 3 is one of the worst reviewed entries in franchise history, and now we have the story behind what happened thanks to a report from Bloomberg's Jason Schreier. For starters, the game was made in 16 months, which is roughly half the time that is required for a traditional Call of Duty release. According to 12 developers working on the game who spoke anonymously, Modern Warfare 3 demanded many late nights and weekend work due to the tumultuous development cycle. Originally, it was set to be an expansion codenamed Jupiter, which was also set to be located solely in Mexico. Bloomberg was told that much of the Sledgehammer team felt betrayed by Activision execs as they were put under a similarly truncated development cycle for Call of Duty Vanguard, the previously lowest rated Call of Duty before Modern Warfare 3 had released. So noticing a trend here.
You're on it. You're on it.
Sledgehammer has been frustrated now that they have had to pass the creative decisions by executives first. Originally, they were pitching a game set in the Advanced Warfare world until they were told to make Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Despite these reports, Sledgehammer Games studio head Aaron Helen claims that the game was a labor of love and that they have worked hard to deliver this game that has been years in the making, claiming anything to the contrary is simply not true. That response on social media was swiftly stamped with a reader's added context post beneath it, which provided the very report that we just covered. Currently, Modern Warfare 3 topped UK physical charts in its opening week, but sales are down 25% compared to Modern Warfare 2 as the only gauge of sales we have currently at the time of recording. Simply Not Really writes in, Sup Dukes, I have a two-part question, so bear with me. No problem. We love the in-depth questions here. It's come out that Sledgehammer devs only got a year and a half to make Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, while the higher-ups are claiming it was conceived as a premium game from the start. This obviously shows that Call of Duty is not as sustainable as the cycle currently stands. Do you think this is a nightmare for Xbox since they now have to do damage control for the biggest game in gaming, or do you think this will inevitably make the next Call of Duty game look amazing by comparison, causing Xbox to look like the saviors of the biggest game in gaming? Also, what does Xbox need to do in order to ensure better management of Activision teams, and why do they need to call them the X Division? Thanks, and have a nice shower. Thank you, Simply Not Really. We appreciate that. I had a shower before the show, actually. I'm doing good.
You
nice
good? You
and
feel fresh?
here.
Oh, nice.
So Cog, I want to kick it to you right away. I'm going to plug in my PlayStation Portal, start charging this real quick. But I want to know from you, sir.
Yes.
What you make of this development cycle? This feels like a report out of the early 2010s. We heard a lot of this then, like you had this timeline and now it's this timeline. And you were going to make this, but actually it's this. Like very much old school kind of energy here from Activision. So what do you make of what's been reported by Schreier?
Yeah, this is that Call of Duty sweatshop energy, bro. Like it pains me to hear about stuff like this. And here's I'm happy that Sledgehammer pushed back. Like, this was not, they felt betrayed by the executives at Activision on how they're running. And again, this is, old Bobby Kotick era, get in there. We got to keep making these Call of Duties. And, the general consensus, this game felt like a glorified expansion. That is what I'm hearing on the crow. I got to get to it. Still haven't got a chance to play my copy yet. Shout out to the good friends of Activision who definitely provided me one, but I'm going to keep it real. If it's not quality, it's not quality. If it feels rushed, it feels rushed. And I'm comparing it. I will compare it to what people have said about past campaigns. So I know what the initial, talk is and discussion and talking points. I'll make my own decision, but everyone seems to be consistent, in that respect. So, yeah, I think I will say this, though. I look at it like a Redfall situation in a way, because there's a part of me that says this is before the acquisition, right? We know for a fact Microsoft didn't have anything to do with the development on this, right? So now that you acquire them and Sledgehammer has voiced this level of frustration now that the dirt is out, and we see the reception and we see the financials. See, once you get to 25% down, now everybody's antennas up. Now we got to pay attention, right? And that's what Microsoft, I think, will do here. One of the things that I've been really impressed when they've gone through their rounds with Blizzard, King, and all that, hey, what can we do over here to make things better for you guys? And I think there will be a unanimous decision from Sledgehammer on how they feel about the past regime. I'm just taking a wild guess that they didn't like how things were going down. So I think there will be change. Now, will that stop the process? Well, maybe not. Does that mean more resources for someone else to take that gap? But when I hear 16 months, that's terrible. You know what I'm saying? Like that's, it's not sustainable and it's not good for the quality of the game. So I think if I had to guess, Booty, Phil, the team, or whoever, who's running things, are going to assess this and see what can be a better outcome. Do I think that means Call of Duty misses the annual cycle just yet? Maybe not, but maybe they get more resources. Maybe there's another team built out. There's other things that can happen, because I do think this is a business. I don't know if the numbers work out when you can skip right now. I don't, but this is a problem. But I think it's a good problem to have now, like Redfall, pre-acquisition or whatever, you know what I mean? So that you can now come in and feel like to say, oh, no, we're going to fix this. We can't have this, right? Kind of energy. And we'll see what they do. I'm very curious. I don't have an answer for this just yet on how to fix it, but I'm curious on how they approach it, because this is a big deal. You can't have Call of Duty 25% down on sales. You can't have the biggest game being also not critically bombed. This thing is getting drag. Like you yourself said, bro, this is low effort, cut and paste. You've been on Sledgehammer. Like once you get the combo of like critical acclaim don't mean nothing if the sales is up. But if you got both, executives, they go corporate cog the situation. What's going on here? What we got to do to get this right? That's what I feel.
I feel bad for Sledgehammer, dude. I really do, because I just talked about like a week or so ago how like I've never liked a Sledgehammer Call of Duty game, but now I hear this and I'm like, did they ever have a chance? Did they ever have a chance to succeed once in this this regime for Call of Duty? It doesn't sound like it if their last 2 Call of Duty games were made in a similar cycle. And it's almost impressive that they got a complete Call of Duty package out at all with how they had to make this game in the short time span they did. I echo a lot of your similar sentiment, Cog, that Call of Duty can see an uprise, and to answer the write-in of Simply Not Really, Xbox has a really great chance here to look like the good guys. If even you enforce a delay to Call of Duty, say like, look, not coming out next year. If they do that alone, that on a corporate level, they're probably rubbing their hands right now like, yo, that's a good look for us, because Call of Duty is going to sell. But the problem in the middle of all of this is optics versus profits. And that's where I found myself at the crossroads here. All these choices from an outside perspective look so easy to make. But this is the main thing that was fought over in a court of law to get this acquisition done. Call of Duty is that important that it held up the deal for almost 2 years, right? Granted, the real money maker is King. We've talked about that here. We know where all the mobile money's coming from, but make no mistake, having Call of Duty, which by May of this year, Modern Warfare 2 is still one of the best-selling games of the year. The previous year's COD says all you need to know. These games print money. And obviously, Xbox doesn't want to rock that boat. That the fact that you can count on the biggest game of the year coming out every holiday period, and that they're taking the biggest part of that check, that's a lot of money to start trifling with and start messing around. So that's the problem, right? And I don't know if I have a good answer to that other than to ignore the finances for the better of the series. Otherwise, you lose that money pot. That would probably be the best thing I can come up with, is that it's not going to become, I think, this failing series. You look at where Madden ended up, and it's still selling by the millions, right? Yeah. No matter all the crying and detracting and like Angry Joe, for example, I think of this guy gets millions of views every year for his annual Madden review because he just plans to destroy it every year as like a way of getting back as a huge football fan.
Thanks.
And I get a kick out of that because it's like, but this guy's leading like a charge and it's still doing well, right? Granted, it's one YouTuber. My point being is people are starting to wake up to Call of Duty on the decline, but it's not. There are certain games, I think, that are just immune to failure to a degree. They have varying degrees of failure and seeing like, oh, it's a 25% drop off. It's still selling millions. It's still making gross amounts of money. And I don't think that will ever change. But you could, if you're Xbox, worry about the tapering off of that and like, okay, when's a point where we're like investing this much and we're getting diminishing returns?
Preach.
And that is a reality. And so that's where they have to be as caretakers, ready to start nurturing this a bit more. How do you do that? Number one, the next Call of Duty, I think Sledgehammer, granted it wasn't under your watch, where I think they wronged Arcane Austin with Redfall more than what happened here with Sledgehammer. Sledgehammer should be on your list of those two studios, like blank check, what do you want to do? Got it, good, go do that. Let them, after 2 games going south on them in tight development cycles, let them go and make something. I'm saying, I'm advocating for them as someone who, they killed my love for Call of Duty. Sledgehammer absolutely did. Then they came in with fucking Advanced Warfare. I was like, what is this? Like my face scrunched up. Like I just spelled something off. I was like, no, this, I can't stand Advanced Warfare. And I'm advocating for them, man. Like they deserve a chance based off what's happened. You can't have that bad of a development cycle twice. But what's happening within the Activision family is what's happening over at Blizzard now. Everyone's looking up to Microsoft like, you gonna solve our problems? And that's where they can really help things out here. Because if you, with the approach they took with Bethesda Game Studios and Starfield, giving it the necessary time, think about how originally it was supposed to come out, despite reports, how it was originally supposed to come out in like 2021, Cog. Remember that?
Yeah.
Now, imagine with all of the back and forth on, who knows what mechanics don't make the cut at that point, by the way, but imagine with all of the back and forth on Starfield, right? And if it came out in like a disastrous way on a technical level, right? You can say what you will about Starfield. Game came out nice and polished. I didn't have any issues in my playthrough. No one I've heard has had any really big issues. Got a smidge of Bethesda jank, I guess, but like it's great, right? That is caretaking, right? That is giving them the biggest chance to succeed. You need to do that for Call of Duty. You need to. And you have to be willing to risk rocking your financial boat. And I think you could be comfortable with that. If you're planning on dropping 4 games a year, right? Like, you should be ready to risk it for Call of Duty a little bit. Like, this series, what's happened is it's been made in this window that's so tight where as time has gone on, it's like a leech. At first, it was Call of Duty coming out from Treyarch and Infinity Ward, just back and forth every year. Then Sledgehammer gets in the mix. Okay, like I remember as someone who was playing a ton of COD, so excited about that because you heard, oh, now Treyarch gets 3 years. Now Infinity Ward gets 3 years instead of 2. It was like, let's go. They're going to be so much better now. There was this restored optimism. Then development timelines grew. The leech grew bigger. It starts to absorb Beanox, Raven, you're doing the Call of Duty campaign now. You're not doing Singularity. You're not doing X-Men Legends. You're not doing Marvel Ultimate Alliance. You're doing a Call of Duty campaign. Beanox, Spider-Man, you're doing multiplayer support now. Like, and now this leech grows bigger and bigger and it is engulfing studios globally. And so Xbox, that's why I'm not counting. I said this in my video. I'm not counting on them to solve this by the next Call of Duty. The amount of untangling that this absolute behemoth of a leech requires is astounding. Like, Bethesda was in a much better state, even though they had their own version of disarray. And look how long it took Xbox to get on that horse. And maybe because they've learned they move quicker with Activision. I would expect that, especially with how much money they know they're sitting on with that. I think they would move a little bit quicker, no doubt about it. But the amount of support too is like, you don't just take away, say, Raven or Beanox as much as I want you to. What's your answer? Like, how do you support that? Do you now just extend the Call of Duty timelines? We have a gap year now, 5-year development cycles now because we have less studios working on it. Is that what happens now? Does it go back to how it once was where you had support studios, but it was one main team leading the charge on campaign, zombies, and multiplayer, and it was a unified vision from that core team? Do they go back to that? I mean, there are so many approaches that they can have to this. I'm very keen to see which way they do handle it, COG, but I just think if I'm confident about anything, it's that they're not going to have a short-term answer. I just don't feel confident in that. But what do you think?
No, these are valid points, and that's the reality in the business side of it, where the answers may take years to develop. This is something that's going to take a lot of change. And the other thing I'm thinking about is the factor of it coming to Nintendo's new platform, right? Nintendo Switch's new platform, going to streaming platforms. Maybe they can do it when that actually starts to come into effect and you have those different revenue streams from platforms that never had Call of Duty before now helping you out. And then the numbers make sense where it's like, okay, we could either build another team out or a 4-team, or, we do something to pull, Beanox off, or like we take that year off and give extended development time. These are important decisions they're going to have to make. I don't know the answer to it, but I do agree. This is not a short-term fix and all you got to do is kind of energy. These teams, like you said, are very well said, like completely intertangled. This has been the business of Call of Duty for a long time, right? And the other thing that you said on Fire was that as much as we've been dragging Sledgehammer, we're empathetic, right, with what they're going through to build a campaign and now those type of conditions, So the first thing is the culture, changing that, listening, see how you can help, maybe come up with some smaller short-term solutions while they're still kind of in the sweatshop. And then long-term, once the money and everything makes sense, how do we come up with long-term fixes to truly alleviate this and keep the quality up? That's going to be the key.
Well, I've been fighting off bursts this entire podcast, bro. Just every time I start a sentence, because I had a protein shake, it's just like, whoop. So,
there you go.
Anyway, well said, sir. Anything else you want to add on to what's happening here with Modern Warfare 3?
Not at all.
All right. And with that, we move on to our last little bit of news here. Coming soon to Xbox Game Pass, November 17th. So by the time you're listening to this, Persona 5 Tactica, which is reviewing pretty well. Comes day one to Game Pass, console, PC, and cloud. This is one of the big announcements at the Summer Showcase this year. November 28th, Dune, Spice Wars arrives on console and cloud. And then on November 28th as well, we get Roller Drome, which I remember my buddy Skill Up loves, but that's coming to Series X and S, PC, and cloud. Roller Drome looks awesome, by the way. Just a second shout out to that. I definitely want to give that a shot. Leaving Xbox Game Pass soon on November 30th. All these games are out. Anvil leaves console, PC, and cloud. Battlefield 1943 leaves console. Battlefield Bad Company leaves console. Battlefield Bad Company 2 leaves console and PC. Disc Room leaves console, PC, cloud. Eastward leaves console, PC, and cloud. That's one I really wanted to play. And Grid leaves console. Cog, anything here that stands out to you as an exit or an entryway for Game Pass that you'd like to call out?
Tactica, baby. Tactica. That's what I'm waiting for. Yeah, it's coming soon. Man. Coming soon. So yeah, I'm hopefully hearing some, good things for my strategy. Got a chance to play it briefly at PAX West. Thought the potential was there. Now I just got to see how the whole package lands. And then as far as, storyline and stuff like that. But I really was getting into it, man. My turn-based sensibilities were peaked. And I thought they had some really cool mechanics, group mechanics in turn-based that I thought were really smooth. So I'm ready. I'll be ready for that.
Yeah, I'm very excited for Persona 5 Tactica. Mm-hmm. I just, the idea that another Persona game, I'm like, play that, and then there's another Persona game and reload. Like, I'm more excited for like Persona 5 Tactica might be like I don't know, man. Like, I gotta stop delaying my Yakuza pilgrimage. Like, I just gotta put on the gear and just grab my walking stick and go. Like, but I keep like, oh, I gotta prepare a few more materials for the trip, right? I'm like, let me play a little 5 Tactica now. Of course, I want to do that. Maybe it might be for the best to hold off, like just do because I want to do impressions and whatnot on like Retro Rebound. It's such a good fit,
baby too. Persona's your baby. I don't know how you gonna stay strong off not playing that.
I don't know. It's gonna be a tough one, but it's just that's what I love about this year. It's why I said like I wasn't just preaching. Like there's so much good stuff to play. So much good stuff to play. Like it's incredible. And so I'm very excited about that one, of course. And I recommend everyone give that a look. But don't sleep on Roller Drome. For those who don't know what Roller Drome is, it's like a really neat third-person shooting, cell-shaded art style where you're on rollerblades in this dome and you're doing like tricks going off ramps and stuff, but you're like shooting people in midair. Like it's kind of like Max Payne meets Tony Hawk in a way. Like it's really cool. Published by Private Division, developed by Roll 7. Give that one a look. Definitely overlooked for sure. If you're looking at anything new coming to the Game Pass library, definitely a tighter knit game too, where you won't have to spend an absorbent amount of time, getting all the quests done or whatever. Like it's quick in and out, so you can enjoy it in that sense too. Dune Spice Wars, I'm also kind of interested in, just because that one I thought was coming out way later, but it's been out for a while, I guess. So what do I know? And then exits.
Yes.
A lot of Battlefield exits here. Yeah. Bad Company 2, one of my favorite Battlefields of all time. And this is given that EA is delisting and closing the servers for these games. And so they say servers for all 3 of these Battlefield games will close on December 8th. So if you're missing any achievements, you'll want to crack on and grab as many as you can now. This is from trueachievements.com. And that breaks my heart.
Yeah.
It breaks my heart. Bad Company 2 was like, I remember when I was first starting to get tired of Call of Duty. That was like the first one I picked up and I went like, yo, wait.
Yeah, that was the first game I cheated on Call of Duty with. It was Battlefield.
Yeah, I was like, wait, this is so good. Like the destruction, the maps, the special kits. It breaks my heart that like they're all just gone. Like that's it. And I get why they don't keep them up forever. But man, to see them go, I'll definitely have to make a video of some kind, just, playing these Battlefield games or something like that. Just because, like, to me, this is just more about me than actually the games, but like my channel is like part of like my video game diary. And it's like, I want to chronicle the last time I play Battlefield, probably like, online, I mean, because it just will be impossible from them.
Yeah.
And then Eastward, it's also a game that shouldn't be slept on. This is published by Chucklefish, who likes to make these kind of pixel art games. And this one also looks really interesting. So if you're into Octopath and that sort of style game, you may like what you see with Eastward.
Mm-hmm.
And so sticking with Game Pass, COD,
Yeah.
Game Pass pick of the week goes to you. What do we got?
I'm back with your man. I slandered him a bit earlier, but I have to admit, like a Dragon Gaiden, it is definitely sticking with me. And here's the thing. You can't minimize fun and how something makes you feel while you're going through it. And that's when I know I'm like, okay, this is the power of RGG right here. You know what I'm saying? Like, this may not be my number one favorite style of where the genre is going. That's how it used to be, but it is so much fun because, again, when I'm in agent style in that mode, I feel like a super agent. I feel like James Bond with Kiryu. I feel like I'm taking down all these perps. And here's the thing. We got to give them, they're kind of low key. I'm curious how you feel about this, Maddie. I feel like RGG and the Yakuza games are like low key the MVPs of side quests. I'm talking about absolutely hilarious stuff. Bro, I was on this mission and I'm staking out these really notorious gangsters. One of them, or first before that, they were shaking down homeless people and taking their welfare checks. And then think about how that sounds. Think about what I just said.
I just love to hear the pitch for that. Like, they did a quest where they're stealing welfare checks.
They're stealing welfare checks for. They was running up. Gangsters are running down on homeless people, saying, "Yo, you need a place to live, right? We got a spot for you. You know what I'm saying? Whatever." Then they round them up, all up, lock them in these rooms, right? Don't really let them out. Steal the welfare checks. It's crazy stuff going on, right? Then there was this other part where I'm doing a stakeout on like these notorious gangsters, and I'm trailing them, and then I'm like, damn, they may notice me. Let me hide behind. Why during this time, Maddie? Again, this is clearly a callback from old Yakuza games. And the game actually flashes back to old Yakuza, and it goes some really older, not attractive woman is like, hey, baby, remember you? I knew that was you. Like, you're on a stakeout, man. Think about it. I'm on a serious stakeout. I'm about to close deal. These people I've been chasing for about 3 or 4 missions. This woman keeps coming, hey, baby, hey, Maddie, hey, remember how we used to do? You know, you my boo. And you like, what is going, I got to ditch this woman. What is going on? This is the goofiness and zaniness of an RGG game that you cannot explain. There was one mission, bro, where I had to help a YouTuber.
Oh, really?
Bro, this guy was like, look, man, I'm broke. I think my channel is going to blow. I want to do paranormal activity in this house, and I'm going to houses where people were formerly murdered, and I just need you to be the cameraman and sit here. We're going to see if any paranormal stuff goes on. So you doing all this, right? Nothing's happening. Then at the end, he pull out the knife and said, I'm going to go viral on you. It was a setup all along. He was like, I don't know why they sent you. I told that chick Akame to send a woman. It would be more easy. But hey, I got to go. Bro, this game is amazing. Wild.
Yeah, dude. Now, the side quest see, that's why I like Kiryu as the MC. Not to push my agenda here, but this is why I like it, because you got this very serious, stoic guy and they throw him in the most ridiculous situations imaginable that you could never. And that's why when you first had that experience, that's what made me a Kiryu guy. Because when I did that in Kiwami 1, I'm like, all right, let's try a couple of side stories. And like, I'm fighting dudes in diapers and like an office. I'm like, what's going on? Why I'm here? What's going on?
I can't front though. That nothing defeats Ichiban and Pound Mates though. Pound Mates?
Yeah.
When you got a phone that says Pound Mates and you got the big cock diesel prison dude come through and be like, yo, what's going on, bro? Nothing the name itself is just God tier, right? That's hilarious. But this last thing, this is where the game really, really gets ridiculous. So there's one mission where I was like, I had to go into a cabaret spot, right? And you got to investigate. Yo, Maddie, why this game turned into full motion video? I had to select the woman, the hostess.
Oh, you went to the cabaret.
Full motion. RGG hired actresses that were scantily clad, and I'm having, it felt like Sega CD era. Like, I'm like, what
bro,
is
it's a dating
going
game.
on? It was a dating
turned into
game.
a dating game, man. It's
Straight
crazy.
up. Bro, hilarious stuff. And I will say, when they get back to their regular narrative and they steer where this is going, it's so addicting. So I'm sticking it through. Hey, if you want to play, last point. I forgot the biggest, most important point. Why is Game Pass pick of the week? If you beat Like a Dragon Gaiden, demo unlocks for infinite wealth.
Oh, now I get where
I gotta get to your man to get to my man.
Got it. So you got the perfect end goal.
Oh, they knew. Shout out to RGG. They knew what the real prize was. They was like, they gonna stay for itchy. And it worked. And it worked to perfection. Thank you, RGG. Because I might not have done it. But when I went to the setting, I said, what's this? Demo of infinite wealth. And I was like, forget Curio. Let me go right here. There's like, main campaign must be completed before you can start. I said, they got me.
That's crazy. Because like I think back to I think it was Mega Man X8. Funny enough, we were talking about it earlier. And they had on the disc a demo for X Command Mission, or it might have been vice versa. But I remember like that's automatically there, right? And then I think about TMNT Mutant Nightmare had a Turtles in Time as an unlock on the disc, but you had to go out of your way to unlock it. And so like that's what I was going for all the time. So it is a difference maker. And I know a lot of people are interesting play, Sega. Interesting play, RGG. I like how they're marketing. I
ain't going front.
I respect it.
I respect it. It may be frowned upon by some circles, but there's a part of me, this might be the new wave. Y'all better pay attention to RGG. They got something going right here.
Yep. No,
they made me Benita. You gonna like Kiryu. You gonna have fun doing this. I was like, all right.
It just says to me they want you to see the full story. Like that's what's so important to them. Like they want you to see the full. That's why I want to go on my pilgrimage.
Absolutely.
And I'll go one of these days.
One day when another other game's not in your way.
Yeah.
Persona.
So many.
I don't see you betraying Persona. I see what's going to happen, but
I don't know, man. I mean, I'm about to give Sega a lot of my love, so certainly they won't be upset about it. I think it's that the end goal is so tight that maybe it's like I'm feeling the pressure, like I got to start now versus like a week from now. But like I really this week should start Yakuza 3. I really should.
So, we'll see how it goes.
All right, final question of the show, and then we're out of here. Von Aran has a great write-in to kind of encapsulate the entire episode where we talked about the Game Awards. Hey, Dukes. Game Awards nominations are here. However, instead of talking about Game of the Year, let's hear about the output of the big three, Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation. I've left out re-releases / remakes, PSVR games, day one Game Pass games. Who had the best lineup? Nintendo, who had Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, Super Mario Wonder, Pikmin 4, and Fire Emblem Engage. Xbox, who had Hi-Fi Rush, Redfall, Starfield, and Forza Motorsport. Or PlayStation, who had Forspoken, Final Fantasy 15, and Spider-Man 2. So, Cog, if you were to rank these, I guess, best to worst, what are you picking? What's speaking to your sensibilities?
Great year. I'm going to surprise people. I think it's hard to take Nintendo out from that type of lineup. If you have a mainline Zelda game and a 2D Mario game, right? I don't play Pikmin, but I know the following. Fire Emblem Engage. I am a Fire Emblem, the main one. What is it? Three Houses. I love that game. I didn't play Engage. I don't know what Engage is about, but it's a Fire Emblem game, right? And I do know, it's usually critically acclaimed. So that's tough to beat, man. That's tough to beat. I even though none of those games are for me, if you're talking about what's the better lineup or what's the COG lineup, I think that's the better lineup. Is maybe not be the COG lineup. But so I'll give Nintendo that. I gotta go Xbox number 2. It's gonna surprise people. I look at, yes, we know the stain that is Redfall. We know. We're not going to minimize that. But you had a Hi-Fi Rush. You had a Starfield. You had a Forza. That's a strong lineup for the year. That is really a good, strong lineup. And then when I look at PlayStation, I kind of look at Forspoken with that kind of, I'm going to say as bad as Redfall, right? But I kind of look at it as like, that wasn't it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So Final Fantasy 16, great. But some people felt it wasn't Final Fantasy true RPG. There was some pushback. There's very cinematic. It's graphically beautiful. Shout out to Clive. I love the voice act. Oh my God. He's amazing. I almost wanted to tear up after that demo. I was like, oh my God, this is
demo ending
brutal.
was so good.
I still remember him. You bastard. Like I felt that to the core.
That was
what
probably
happened?
like one of my favorite scenes in that whole game.
Absolutely.
I'm surprised they had that in the demo because that was like a huge hook. And then
Yes.
they left people like waiting afterwards.
Waiting. Perfect demo. And then Spider-Man 2, amazing. I can't really take none. We have like minor little things about it. Spider-Man 2 is perfect end of the year, but I have to say less games than the Xbox category based on this list. And if I take Redfall and Forspoken kind of cancel each other out, which leaves Hi-Fi Rush, Starfield, Forza versus Final Fantasy 16, Spider-Man 2, I give Xbox the edge there. I think they had a fuller year kind of thing. But that's where I'm curious. Where is Maddie with all this? Because I think he's going to go different.
So I agree with you that Nintendo's at number one.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's, you got a bona fide Game of the Year contender in Tears of the Kingdom. Mario Wonder's high quality, even if I think it gets a bit of a Nintendo bump. Fire Emblem Engage is fantastic.
Nintendo tax?
Before I haven't played. Yeah, or what was it? Xbox tax, Nintendo
bump. Surplus?
Yeah. I definitely think Mario Wonder was like partial to something. Not to take away from the game, I guess I kind of am regardless. But I do think if anyone else is putting out a 2D platformer like that, that's not even like in a bad way. It's just not going to get the same love. Like it's just not. Like it's
so there's a different scale. Oh, okay, gotcha.
I think there is personally with Mario, but Nintendo takes the cake. I think they had the most consistent high quality across the air. Now, where Xbox and PlayStation are really interesting this year, if you're looking at the list Final Rand provided us, is that they both have like to me massive worst games of the year stinkers. And they also have like these high highs, right? So Xbox has high highs like, to me, Hi-Fi Rush and Starfield, right? And then you get Redfall, which is the lowest of lows. And then I find Forza Motorsport kind of in the middle. Like, not going to blow my socks off, but that's like not my taste. But if you're looking at it from like a quality perspective, like they have 3 really good ones and then 1 not so good.
Yes.
PlayStation. And I do think it's a little unfair to not account for PSVR 2 and then PlayStation Portal. Like they did a lot of accessory launches, but looking at just the games, Forspoken's awful. Like I would put that in the ranks with Redfall. It may work, but I hate that game. It's so bad in my opinion. Like that dialogue, it should be in a museum with a little button that you press. That dialogue comes out for each of those buttons as a study of what not to do with your voiced main character.
Maybe we can use AI for that.
I would take AI over what they did.
I'm
not even kidding. That was awful. Just a grading experience where Redfall was grading for a different reason. It just didn't work and it wasn't fun to play.
Facts. You're right.
Final Fantasy 16, I am definitely in the minority on, but I was less impressed by. And I felt I saw right through what the game was. It's definitely not an RPG. And I think the story is very much a high fidelity, high production value type of game. I think the story loses its way, especially by the end.
Oh, wow.
The ending is really strong though.
Okay.
But the gameplay, I'm hoping they don't go full Devil May Cry, Final Fantasy. This game probably would have been received differently if it was like a subtitle, like, Final Fantasy, the demon inside or some shit like that.
Gotcha.
Kind of indicating like this isn't the main direction, but I push back heavily on where they're going with the series if this is an indication of the future. And then Spider-Man 2, which I like a lot, but don't love as much as the first one. So to me, I think I feel Xbox did a better job this year. Okay. I liked Xbox's games more. I know people say, "Oh, I'm shocked."
Of course you will.
Of course you did.
Of course you will.
I gave PlayStation the long breakdowns because so many of you already know me so well. You already know my taste, but I'm trying to take it for like PlayStation. I don't know if they hit the quality mark I'm personally used to. Like if I was looking at this batch here and you asked me like, what's the highest quality game of the 3? Like I would actually probably say in the terms of production value and bugs and whatnot, like Final Fantasy 16, 100%. Like I think that was probably their best published game this year. So that's how I look at things. I think it's Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation. If Redfall was even a modicum of like above mediocrity, it would be an even easier selection. But I can see how people would go either way with it.
Absolutely.
All right, Cog. Well, that's it. That's it for Defining Duke, episode 150. Sir, we need a hashtag, and then we're getting on out of here. I think like DD Noms has to be.
Yeah, DD Noms or DD Snub. I was thinking the same thing. Noms, whatever you want to do.
All right,
it got to be DD
Noms.
Let's do Noms.
We got this deep. I'm at G27 Status on Twitter. Cog is at Lord Cognito. Use the hashtag DD Noms, NOMS. Let us know your thoughts on the episode. Of course, if you don't want to use social media, we get it because people are trying to farm engagement by putting insane takes online. You can go ahead and just tag us in the comments. Use the hashtag DDNoms. Let us know your thoughts on the episode, or just put it there and let us know you finished the episode. It's always cool to see that stuff. But Cog, any closing words before we get on out of here?
Oh, man, great birthday episode. I'm excited.
Enjoy the rest of your big day.
Yeah, man, get a chance to spend with the cuzzo. And again, thanks everyone at LSM Fam. Fun show. And yeah, man, more stuff. We got stuff to talk about. Game Awards next. The show continues and more content coming up, during the stretch.
Yes, sir. With that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you greatly. We hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time around for episode 151 of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. Peace out.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Matty's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman, and the show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.